Name is Grace Kumapakima. I am a child and a grandchild too. Someday I will grow up to be a woman and a mother too. All children are vulnerable, be it rich, poor, black, or white. We as children need your protections at all times. Stop stigmatizing us by raping us. Sex is not for children. Stay away from us. We have the right to a healthy and happy life. We have the right to move and play freely even if our parents or guardians are not around. We as girls children say a big no to gender-based violence.
Let us stop the abuse against our children, girls and boys. Rape is evil. It is a crime. Don't hesitate to call the police whenever there's a situation. A message from the Liberian Women Advocacy Network International, Lawani.
Well. On the Monday, Professor Kennedy, welcome. Good to see you. How was your weekend, sir?
Let me get my equipment.
All right. Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to this Monday. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Closing Acumen on this Monday's edition of the Closing Acumen. Let me welcome some folks who are watching us. Honestly Pay was the first person here today. Honestly, welcome. Good to see you. James Kayete. Good evening, my friend. Good evening, James. Good to see you here as well on the Closing Acumen. Lasana Fantakrama, following us from the Office of the National Reform Youth of Liberia. Wow, that sounds like a great organization. Good to see you. Good to see you, Lasana. Peter White, good to see you, my brother. Welcome to the Closing Acumen. Billy Weir, welcome. Yes, under the page. I hope you had a great weekend. Abdullah Dolly, good evening. Watching from Zozo, Lofa County. Oh boy, that's the wrong way, man. Thank you for watching. Gibra Golokaju. Chairman Ben probably will come on today. We just got off a phone call. He probably will come on. He been busy. Joseph Zizi, Evan Bala said we live on Hot FM. Also, we are live on Hot FM. We are live on True FM. We are on the Real TV as well. So, guys, log on. Just click the share button. Aliyu Kamara, welcome. Hit the share button so that we will bring you some up-to-date information of what is going on in Liberia. Edward Young, good to see Edward Stubatus M. Young Jr., welcome. Mozart Dennis, always good to see you, my friend. Nora Hope, welcome. I hope you had a great birthday celebration. Hotel Soir and Yami True Asedu Mensa. Miss Mensa, good to see you. Miss Kangana, Miss Mensa. Professor Kennedy, welcome. How was your weekend, sir?
Doc, all is well, man. Weekend was a little bit sketchy. Had a little cold. Not sure why. I rarely get sick, but eventually it happens. But feeling much better today, Doc. How was your weekend, man?
I'm glad you're doing good. I was really busy. I was a groomsman in a wedding this weekend in New Jersey. One of my friends. Yeah, it was a busy weekend. We were there, and Mr. and Mrs. Kier got married. One Chris Kier and his wife Josephine got married, and we're there to support him. Nice. So the weekend was really busy for me since Friday. It was really busy.
You were getting down on a good foot.
Oh yeah. It was just awesome. Got to meet a lot of people. New friends.
Very nice.
And just was there to give our brother all the support. So it was a great thing. Yeah. Until Ansu Seli, welcome Ansu. You see my Ansu still in the studio. Maybe you give us some breakdown. But God, let's
on that Closing Acumen here on Truth FM. So good evening, welcome. My name is Ansu. I'm here alongside for Mayan. Together we here for now, straight up to 11 o'clock or maybe midnight on your number one afternoon, evening, morning show, especially for those of you monitoring us, maybe outside this country, in Asia, there in America, somewhere of this world, you are monitoring us. What is morning? What is afternoon? What is night? But it's night here in Liberia. So 24 minutes past 9. Let's leave our main studio and join the closing argument team.
All right. So, Ansu, what's happening in Liberia? Welcome,
All right,
Ansu.
so
What's happening in Liberia?
thank you, thanks, Peabody. Thank that for again another week starts. You know, the week starts on Sunday, but first working day. Good to be here on Truth FM. Let me say hi to Professor Larry Kennedy and the rest of the closing argument team. As I said, it's good to be back here on the radio. And we are here again in Liberia. It's just a day by day. The news, every time no news, there's a new news we spark up, especially with the political activities running in our country. So we are here, so many training developments, and I think that we are here to pick it up and to get a real on closing argument for our listeners.
Well, it is good. It's good. Thank you. Thank you. I heard the president of Liberia left for Atlanta, Georgia today to speak at some black forum. Professor, I'm not sure whether you
Yes,
know.
we got our information was at a business forum or a business conference in which the president uh, left for today, and that was the one of the major news in terms of the president departure to the U.S. attending a business conference. And maybe some of the major government entities, maybe ministry, somebody not being part of the president delegation or delegates that left for the U.S. And I saw something from the district lawmaker Yeket Korubai. I was saying Korubai who raised serious attention on it. How can the Mr. President leave the country, and especially attend a business conference and
Hmm.
some of the major ministry, like the Ministry of Commerce, I think not being part of it. There are a lot of agencies, the ministry that he mentioned, in which and the president uh, did not travel with. So as we go through the show, we'll definitely inform our audience exactly what unfolding when it comes from the president trip to the U.S.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I understand the president left. He was traveling with a few delegation. Professor, but Professor, are you aware of that group that is attending in Georgia? Since you are involved in the business forum, are you aware of it? What kind of group is it?
Yeah, I think I saw. I think I did read something about that. But the thing is, for a lot of African countries, the leaders really do not need to travel for conferences. Most business conferences can be held online.
Yep.
You can use Zoom, you can use one of these web applications, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, WebEx, doesn't matter. Because people may not consider this, but COVID is still a thing in America.
Hmm. Yep.
President Biden just had COVID. So there are people over here still catching COVID,
Yep.
impacted by COVID.
Yep.
So you got to take some of those things into consideration.
Yep.
If you go into a forum of a large gathering of people, it's still a thing over here. A
Yep.
lot of times when we do some of the meetings that I'm part of, we discuss some of the issues and risks. And COVID is one of the issues that can disrupt the work that we're doing. So some of these business conferences, I mean, considering the recast budget is talking about reducing expenses or cutting the amount of money projected, you don't have the money. You can't afford it. So, I mean, I would advise the president, do this thing using the WebEx or Zoom. But I think traveling, unless the president is coming for something more than just a conference, then that is understandable. But if you're just coming for just a conference, it's a waste of resources. It's a waste of resources.
Yeah, I mean, especially coming to Atlanta, Georgia, you bringing a delegation with you, lodging, food, transportation, and other involved. That is well expensive, especially for a government that is struggling to meet their own budget. Because I hear they keep adding and subtracting from the budget and all of that. So that must be a challenge. But Professor, there was something published in the Front Page Africa newspaper. Uh, it talks about leaked checks obtained by Front Page Africa suggested that the National Security Agency used as a medium for corruption, NSA, and they talk about millions funded through NSA, a lot of money. I saw some of these. I don't know whether you saw some of those checks that were used. You're talking about people writing $1.5 million check from the NSA budget. I mean, National Social Security budget. I saw 1,500,000. I didn't know that people could even cash a check like that. I was somebody that did it, and we were having an argument, and I was telling people I think it's true, and the person said they can never do it. But I guess you saw those checks, Professor. So, what you think about it?
I mean, nowhere in a developed society, well, let's take it back. You shouldn't have the ability in places like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, a lot of the sub-Saharan African countries, you should not have the ability to walk into a bank and cash a check in excess of 100,000 or so, unless you have some genuine reason as to why you need all of that cash at once. Usually these things are because you need an audit trail. You need to find out, you need to be able to follow the money to see where the money is going. You can cash a check like that. Somebody can put it in their pocket. They can, because it creates the impression of money laundering. And then when you hide under this disguise, right, of national security, because I think from what I've been reading, the NSA was kind of serving as a cesspool for corruption, because it's like when people want to steal money and hide it, they put it under this whole heading of national security, and that's how they can slip money through, because somewhere in the laws or the Constitution or somewhere, the NSA is not supposed to be audited, and you're not supposed to check on the NSA because it's used for national security. Now, this is an eye-opener for the legislator to step up and take a look at the laws and see how they can fix something like this, right? When you first create some of these laws, it's not going to be perfect. But over time, when you start catching these little small things, you start doing amendments to the laws and you start fixing it. That's why even the US Constitution, you have all of these amendments to the Constitution, because somewhere in there, the Constitution just wasn't correct. But to hear about this kind of money flowing like that, Front Page posted it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% accurate, not unless, they get someone to confirm it. But the legislator needs to bring somebody before them and say, look, man, it's what, the leading newspaper in the country reporting. Is that accurate? And what was the money used for? I tell you that you can't have this kind of nonsense going on in such a society where the majority of the people, who are 50%, live in abject poverty. You can't have this kind of thing continuing years after years after years. It has to change. It has to stop at some point, And this is like a secret for money laundering. There's got somebody cashing this money. Where did it take it? Where was it deposited? It's no one.
And there's one name that is used here on this guy, this check. In fact, they are reporting. They said the check revealed over a span of 5 weeks. Emmanuel Wilson, a single individual, withdrew the total US $3.3 million from the NSA Central Bank account. The first check for $1.5 million was cashed on Thursday, August 10, 2023, almost a year ago. The following day, Friday, August 11, Wilson cashed a check of 300,000 at a bank at the central bank, processed by the teller 54. On August 23rd, Wilson withdrew additional 500,000, followed by the final withdrawal of $1 million in September. So,
That is in my man. It's insane. This is not what a central bank is meant to do. The people are using a bank like their own little piggy bank, like a little cash cow. You can just walk in. Central banks are supposed to be able to lend money to the local banks under certain circumstances. They're supposed to take that thing to the local bank, but no one should be cashing things like that. You got to wire the money to another bank. You got to do it electronically. The way how it should work, all of the banks in Liberia, 11, 12 banks or so, they all should have an account.
right.
And I believe they should at the central bank. So if you, Doc, you are an entity and you need money, the central bank will simply either credit or debit that local bank's account to move the money. The money not move electronically, not move. Because if today I need to say, okay, the 300,000 that was cash, where did that money go? Which account did it go to?
Right.
Right now, as it stands, it went to somebody's pocket.
Yep.
That's no audit trail. You don't know how the money was spent.
Right.
And
Right.
it is not free money. There's no such thing as free money. That's somebody's money you are taking, whether it's the money the country has borrowed, whether it's the money that was sitting over in the country's account at the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank. What is somebody's money? There's no such thing as free money. That money has to be paid back.
Yeah.
So to hear this kind of nonsense in this day and age is like, it's shocking, man. It's shocking. And the people are always just being ripped off, left and right. The country is being ripped off. It's incredible. Chief,
Tomalin, good to see you, man.
Yes, good to see you guys. Good to see you, Professor and Dr. Peabody. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. I understand we have a special guest coming, right, Tomalin?
No, not today, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, but we're just talking about this $3 million check that was cashed on the NSA budget. How one man single-handedly went to the bank and withdrew almost $3 million in a row, catching check to believe. So
But here's the story, though. I heard. I'm trying to do some investigation. This Emmanuel Wilson guy, he's just a common person. He's a guy who they say he cannot even afford a day's meal. So he was used by someone to go and get his money. And so the question is, why the government is waiting for what now to get Emmanuel Wilson? Because if you get Emmanuel Wilson, he will tell you who he gave that money to. You know, Professor, but I don't know, you in the financial era, you do the forensic stuff. How do you think they track who the money was paid to? Emmanuel Wilson is a common person who was just used as the conduit to get a check, the money. Because I saw the checks, 1.5 million, 500,000, and then I'm told that this guy just a common man. Tomalin, this guy not someone who can even pay, give you $100 but he was withdrawing that kind of huge amount. So how do you think they will try to get his money? I mean, I found out who the money was paid to.
Yeah, you see in Liberia, because it was cash, it's going to be difficult, right? Because anywhere else, let's say if you're in the U.S., for example, because of the bank secrecy laws, the Bank Secrecy Act in the U.S., if you today, Tomalin, you walk over to Bank of America, you walk to one bank, you go put in, let's say, about $10,000, by law, they're going to notify the Treasury Department, by law. Even if you walk into the bank and you say, oh, I got $50,000, I want to deposit, and they start asking you the source of the money, where you got the money from, all of that. If you, Chief Tomalin, you decide, oh, you want to give them that information, you want to turn around and leave, they will still report that you came into the bank, even though you didn't deposit the money. They will still report that you came into the bank over to the U.S. Treasury Department. In Liberia, you don't have that kind of reporting. You don't have that kind of responsibility. You don't have what we call an audit trail. There's no breadcrumbs to follow to the source of the money. The one thing, hopefully, they don't have it in place, but one thing they can do is all of the local banks should probably know right now, if somebody were to deposit a large cache of money, you need to start asking the local banks, did anybody recently over the past year or so deposit anything in excess of over $25,000? You need that information, because then anybody who's depositing a large source, yeah.
But Professor, I heard, okay, I was somewhere over the weekend, and we're discussing about this, and they told me that the reason why they organized they established the financial intelligence unit was because they assume that Tomalin George enters a bank and in cash or withdraw maybe 20,000 or 25,000. Immediately the FIU will be notified, and then they're going to start the red flag, and they were going to find out, well, who is Tomalin George, what he does for a living, and how he got that kind of money. I mean, you want to know. But then, so now we had a FIU in the country though. But then I was told that what happened was the FIU was used, well, money was put into the FIU, and millions of dollars were put into the FIU. So I mean, explain it. What happened? What went wrong?
But you see, then the entire system is corrupt, because you're supposed to have checks and balances, right? Because if the FIU is meant to check the banking system to make sure that nobody is corrupting the system, but the FIU is also involved in the corruption, then you don't have no checks and balance. Then the entire system is corrupt, because there's no way you can put money in that the FIU gets noticed. But the thing that you mentioned, that question is, how can the FIU receive payment? Because they shouldn't be able to receive payment. They should receive notification of a large deposit, and then they're supposed to act upon that. But look, Liberia is not going to change if we don't put some people in prison. The country is going nowhere. If the rule of law does not exist, you're not going anywhere anytime soon. There's no financial regulation. Today, if you try to bring charges against Ben Sanvee for that shirt he's wearing, you're not going to get nowhere, because he will know some higher up people and he will get away with it. So you need the rule of law to make change in our country. It's just not there. It's not going to happen. Sorry, Ben. I always like to pick on you.
But before I go back to the professor, let me work on the chairman. The chairman celebrated his 43rd birthday yesterday.
The guy keep getting young every year. Something wrong,
man. He looked like new money again.
Yeah, man. Something wrong with that guy.
I was blasting him today. I told him, say the kind of stuff but he's not making use of it. But maybe we'll talk. You will think about it. Maybe. But look, Chairman, welcome, man. I know you had a happy birthday yesterday.
Thank you.
I wish you again happy belated birthday. But maybe yes. We're just discussing about this in action. Maybe you can just say something before we continue.
well. Anyway, it's good to be here. Thank you. You discussing about the people going to the bank to cash a check?
Yeah, but Chairman, Professor, I talked to a former FIU boss, right? The guy said that he said when he was there, no money that kind of money wasn't put into his account, into that account of FIU. So, but when he left, then the money went into millions. So so that's the question. That's the reason why the FIU is being the
but all of these practices, all of these things are still happening today.
Oh yeah, I mean.
So what is the I just look this thing is just again I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I know there's a lot of hope, but I would say this. That's why the argument was made long before that if this was about change or changing of the guards or trying to find positive, this is not what CDC did in her 6 years. A lot of those things they learned from the Unity Party, right? Some of my men in CDC just took it to another level, but now the Unity Party boys are here. They're figuring out that the CDC guys were very reckless in some of the things that they did. So they were tightening up what you will see after this tenure, they were tightening up their screws so that nobody can come. But all of these things are still happening. They're still happening. There's no people are still cashing checks from the central bank. I understand the other day LTA. I was looking at something on the internet. Somebody said that not LTA, MTA, the National Transit Authority, went took their own a check. I think of I don't know how many millions of Liberian dollars, and they took it in pickup trucks to the entity. So what is all this noise about? Nothing. Look, let me say this, and I will say this. Unfortunately, I know there's a lot of anxiety. Oh yeah, people fighting corruption, they're doing this, they indicting people. We've seen this before. Until the judicial system in the country can be strengthened, until things are put in place, it's like we're walking our way backwards and we're not walking forward, right? Nothing substantial is about to happen. You will have these indictments. A lot of it is about settling political scores. A lot of it is about seeing Samuel Twe in handcuff. A lot of it is about doing different things. It's a lot of I'm interested in this in the substance, right? And I'm sorry, but I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know. Larry, you were right. I think it's about systems. We're not ready for systems in that country. That is the fact. We're not. We're not ready for systems in that country. When we get ready for system in our country, we will know when we get ready for system in our country. Right now, what you see happening in Liberia is a lot of window dressing. Is a lot of okay, you see the administration taking some actions on some things, but then holding back on some things, right? You see one of the difficulties that this administration is going to have is that some of the things that they have, even they themselves started to do, was questionable. So there is this tendency that a lot of these things has to do with the fact that people want to distract from what the main issues are. But I can tell you, I'm just we'll keep following, we'll keep looking. It's unfortunate, but again, like I said, there's just no systems in place in the country. So you can find out. Imagine going to a bank in America and carrying a check of $1 million to go cash, and they gave you 1 million cash. And you walk out of the bank.
So wait. So that 1.5 billion they gave Emmanuel Wilson, it was cash in Liberia.
But what you think it was? You think it was treasury bonds? You think it was treasury bonds? But you got to understand the mindset, though. You got to understand the mindset. And let me predict something to you. And y'all see if they're recording. Let me predict something to you. They will carry our kids, and they say they're doing indictment for corruption.
That's Vlad.
And all they say they're doing?
People can say Vlad.
Watch and see the defense. The defense is going to be, it was an election year, was spending money on election security related matters, and we needed cash. We needed cash. And guess what? The way the laws are in Liberia, the way the NSA laws are situated, the NSA can tell you, say they got 2,000 operatives that each they pay $2,000 US. What are you gonna look? Tomalin, when we get serious, y'all let us know. We will know when the country ready to get serious, man. We will know. But all this thing, why didn't Joe Biden decommission the audit from NSA?
NSA, yes.
Why didn't he decommission the audit? Because they went knocking and throwing said, they probably conquer here and throwing said, something wrong with you.
Let's not play that. Hey.
That's just the scene where he's supposed to be able to get your own of me. So what are we doing here? I can tell you they will go to court, right? It's going to be a jury trial. It's not going to be a judge making this decision. Who are the jury? When they say jury, and they say jury, a PS
of your PS.
Exactly. Yeah. And it seems like Liberian people, they will call you from right in that jury. So the defense would be all of this money was for national security in an election year. You have a lot of issues. And let me tell you, I can tell you confidently there's a lot of national security reasons why that defense can get. You got what is in the Sahel region? And what the Russian group name? What the Russian people name, man?
How do you call them?
Wagner group. The Wagner group. You get a Wagner group trying to infiltrate American territory. Just watch and see. Y'all save this recording. Just watch and see how that case will go and the defense will do. And guess what? And everybody will walk out And people will say, you know what, we went through the court of law and nothing has happened. Nothing's going to change. The United Party people will do their own when they finish from there. We'll be having this conversation over and over and over again. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just it. I mean, like I said, I got a lot of scars to see from this thing, man. So I'm not going to, I know, Larry, I know I can dampen your spirit, but listen,
But who would have welcomed this? I mean, the guy who you see, man, Chuchu, and Jack, you sing and Jack say, by what you say? He said a bunch of idiots. I think.
T-shirt.
Look, no, but so this is what's going to happen though. It's a cycle because you people gonna do this, and then they move on. So nothing will happen. So we just got to. That Professor made a good suggestion today. If the people serious, they start taking that direction. But again,
but why are you scared of talking? So let's discuss it. You and Larry Kennedy.
Look,
Let's discuss it.
You see, I think part of the problem is there's no true opposition to really stand and fight this thing. There's nobody behind it to stand and fight because it shouldn't be tolerated. It should not be tolerated. I hear what you're saying, Ben. I hear how you're saying this thing will be brushed under the rug, and I see some of the comments over here. People saying, "Is it right?" We know it's not right, but what can be done about it? Until there's a solution, until somebody can step up to the plate and say, "Look, we're not taking this any longer," it will continue to happen. People will only take advantage of a system when the system is weak and there's no strength or nobody to back it up. So it will continue to happen. But the thing is, it hurts the entire country because people will not trust your central bank. They will not trust your banking system. Your country will continue to be flat. For a very long time, we couldn't move money through certain countries in Africa from JP Morgan Chase.
wow,
Because it was flagged as a source of money laundering.
Of course.
So that impacts not just the country, the citizens. When you try to move money, it takes a longer time because the risk of it being part of a money laundering scheme. Take a look, and I'll swing it back to you, Chuchu. Just give me like 30 seconds. When you look at the FCPA, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, when you look at the sanctions list, there are a couple of high-level Hezbollah people on the sanctions list that are based in Liberia. So people are scared of Liberia because they think Liberia is used as a way to funnel money to terrorist organizations too. May not be true, but I'm just telling you the way it is. It impacts everything that is happening in the country. The country is not developing. It is not moving anywhere. From 1980 to 2024, the GDP per capita, the amount of money per person earned in the country, has only inched up by $256. $256. Whereas, take a look at a country like Botswana, like gained independence, like in 1966. The income per person has grown over $7,000. The country we've been around 170 something years. The guys have been around about 58 years or so. We're not growing anywhere. Why? Because a lot of times we tolerate the nonsense that is taking place because we don't have true leadership. When Nelson Mandela said in the 90s, Africa is suffering because it lacks leadership, this is what we're seeing. This kind of nonsense just happens every day, and people just accept it because there seems to be no hope. And sometimes it's just reality. There seems to be no way to change it. And Ben, you're giving us the reality of what's going to happen. I'm not going to fight or argue with you because why? We've seen this happen time and time again. We've seen NSA rob business people that came to the country. What happened? Nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. So sorry, man. Go ahead, Choo.
Okay, gentlemen. Again, thank you for having me. Very good discussion. I would just like to address an article that I read today, or I think yesterday, in the Front Page Africa, about Augusto California is slated to be the next finance minister of Liberia. Again, I'm going to come on the record here and tell you that's a very bad choice. He's a very incompetent finance person. He showed when he first ran, all of those things you talk about in Liberia, where you say ghost payroll, Augusto California is the architect of it. He was Budget Bureau Director before that. And it ran into from 2008, I think, to 2012. Jobs were not created in Liberia. Liberia had one of the highest foreign direct investments. The early administration received 16 billion in terms of agreement, foreign direct investments. At the same time, that's when all of those contracts, most of those contracts were signed. Today, Liberia still a $4 billion GDP when Somalia is 10. Somalia don't even have, they're not even a country, technically. So these are the same people I keep talking about. Your brother seen Burma Camara. I sat on the very show 6 months ago and told you that was a disaster. Okay, it was proven right. You bring in the same recycled people, and then you're asking, and you're expecting something different. All right. So again, there are a lot of competent Liberians in the financial sector. Many of them, some of them have been on the show many times. Why do we keep recycling people who have failed? Can anybody in Liberia tell me, an Irish person, what they benefited personally or as a nation from any one of these people being in government? But we have this thing here where when somebody go to school and they become cum laude, or somebody go to school and they top or grade, and then you base the qualification based on the person, school result, not on actual facts. If that's the case, then Einstein would have been the dumbest person because Einstein was he performed very poorly in school. He was one of the least student. But everybody know today, Einstein is with the highest IQ and the most brilliant person who ever walked the planet. So you cannot use, it's like a doctor going to medical school, and then you say, oh, the doctor was smart in medical school, so the person is qualified. No, you have to look at people's record. Go to 2008. Look at the inflation rate in Liberia. Look at the GDP growth. Look at the employment rate. Okay, look at how was corruption fought effectively between 2008 to 2012. Were there real development? I'm talking about, the foreign government building airport and roads that are financed by other countries. Look at the Ministry of Finance. Look how it look. It look like a prison. Any serious country will not have a finance ministry looking like that. And the very same people who presided over these things is the same people you keep recycling. So those are the discouragement that some of you, I know some of you guys, you're not as blunt as I am, but this man does not even have a bank teller experience. Straight from all of college through connection, he went to central bank. From central bank, he joined Unity Party. They elevated him to budget director. From budget director, straight to finance minister. Larry, you working in the field. No one gets that kind of elevation from becoming a junior staff all the way to the highest position of finance in the country within less than 10 years. No private experience. So that's why Liberia is suffering. Liberia is suffering because of this kind of incompetence from the Burma Kamara and the Kapuya and the other one, where the one who is in the Senate now, Amara Kamara. These are politicians. They haven't built businesses before.
You mentioned all the people.
No, but
That should tell you they're not relevant people. What article, Larry? What article have you read? Hold on. Yeah, Larry is a professor of finance. He great student. What article have you read that Kofunya have written on the economy or on finance that would tell you this man understand how to manage this, but manage essentially to become the CFO of a country? Larry can tell me, yeah, one day I drop my case.
Because you know it doesn't exist, right? I'm like choo-choo. It doesn't exist.
So that's my point.
No, but
all the business show.
But the reality is that let me check where you're coming, right? But Chuchu, I will say this: if I sit there and lie to just or denigrate of that one, it would not be fair. Because honestly, I mean, the argument about making recycling people, you have an argument yet. The other people can be finance minister, I agree. But Augustine Kwei Gafwan is not the person you describing. No.
So what is his record? Give me his record. Let me personality.
When Ellen took over the country, I'm not a fan of Ellen. Get that one clear.
Okay.
When he took over the country, that bro was at the lowest ebb. Okay. Gafwan, he became budget director. He inherited ghost names. He inherited. Okay. It was through Gafwan and others that economic management team and they want to get the debt waiver. Okay, they want to get the debt waiver. Just that in her second term, I went to school. I think she messed everything up. But in the first term, the reason why you think they get that they want to get that debt waiver and came up with some program to help the country. They got a lot of money came in the country during that time. But Gafwan is a respected financial person, somebody who I respect a lot. I mean, because I've seen his.
No, okay, so let's take it one at a time. Let's take your argument one at a time.
I disagree.
Let's take your argument.
So let me just.
Let's take your argument. Ben, I'll come to you. Let's take his argument, systematically. You know how many countries got debt waiver? You think were based on anything that Gafwan did that warranted?
No.
You know how much Liberia received even before or after Gafwan? So you've seen that dual finance minister that got $300 million from the United States government.
$500 million ago, 10 years. Do that, yeah.
Okay, $500 million. Is that because of Emmanuel Shaw? Oh. So that argument doesn't hold any water. Liberia, every country. Hold on now.
Okay.
What I'm saying, your argument is simply Liberia got all of the debt waiver thing, which was a African stuff that they gave to almost all the countries that apply, except for a few exceptions, right? And in large part, credit goes to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, not the finance minister. Well, why are you not giving that same credit to the foreign minister? That was not the job of the finance minister. The job of the finance minister is to manage the country economy and grow your GDP, create job, industries. Did he do any of those things?
Let me say something real quick before Ben. Real quick on this whole debt waiver thing. I'm sure Gafwan probably played a part, but let me mention this real quick. Because President Boyka, if I remember, at the time, VP Boyka, if I remember correctly, he was before the United Nations asking for the debt waiver for Liberia. But who played a key role? It was actually George Soros, right? The Open Society Initiative of West Africa. George Soros, there was a guy that Soros paid almost $100,000 for to lobby the U.S. Congress, the IMF, the World Bank, all these.
Yeah, rhetoric from Washington, D.C. think tank.
Exactly. So those guys dealing in Washington, D.C. actually led to the 4-point-something billion in the debt waiver. And at the time, Ellen was making the pledge, or she was making the plea, because she said Liberia could not move forward with this amount of debt financing they had to do. So I'm sure Gafwan probably played a part, but the major part was George Soros and the financing he gave to the lobbyists. He paid this guy, it was a university professor, he was paying over 100 or something thousand for the lobbying effort to chase the debt waiver. So I think that played probably 80% of the role from people like a billionaire like George Soros for the debt waiver. So I'm not sure how much influence Gafwan had. He has some. I mean, he was a finance minister. But I just want to put that data out there because I follow that very closely.
Yeah. So let me say.
So let's go down to the ghost.
No, wait, Alex, let me say something. You
all right, Chevy, go ahead. I'm ready for you today.
You may come after me on this issue.
Okay.
So I do have I have some disagreement with your blanket characterization of Gafwan, even Amara and Boyma, all these guys. It's one thing to say yes, they've been finance minister, and they maybe we need an infusion of a new person, but to blanketly say that they're all incompetent, I don't agree with. Let me state for the record the prerogative to appoint a finance minister is on the president. It is the president's judgment that will be used to make his determination to say, you know what, I want this person to be finance minister. But you have President Joe Boakai. If he hasn't decided whether, he hasn't announced Gafwan yet as the replacement. By the way, Gafwan is in Uganda. I think he is the ADB, the African Development Bank, permanent representative or country manager, if that is the right title, the country manager in Uganda, right? Judging by your measurement, Alex, I don't think Gafwan should have even been qualified for that job. And I do want to believe that the ADB goes through a vigorous and a strenuous vetting process before they go ahead and they name country managers in respective countries. On the issue of his contribution, and I think Gafwan can defend himself. I'm not here to defend him, but I want to say that he did. I do believe, like Tomalin said, the Ellen administration inherited practically a non-existent country, right? When you think about systems and processes, Gafuan was a part of that early economic, that early economic team that Ellen was able to put together when he was at Budget Bureau, and then subsequently made the transition to Minister of Finance, because it was Monsieur Saye and Antoinette Saye from the World Bank. At that time, the World Bank, I think she's now retiring from the IMF. That led that delegation. And to Larry's point, yes, it was a combination of different things that led to that debt waiver. It was Ellen's star power. I don't think any other Liberian president would have been able to get it done the way she was able to get it done, because she did have the star power. But they also had to do some heavy lifting at home. They also had to make some decisions. They had to put in place some reforms. The people just did not just say, oh, we're waiving this. That's why it was a process. We had to get qualified for HIPIC. I think it was under Gafuan's watch that we got qualified for HIPIC. It was under that administration, as far as that economic team, the Gafuan, the Amara, because I think Amara ended up going to Planning and Economic Affairs before Planning and Economic Affairs was merged into one ministry. So it was that team that was able to put together some of the things that they were able to accomplish. So I would not sit here and just blanketly say that they didn't accomplish anything. It was under their watch, right? Gafuan started it. I think Amara then ended it up, that we got our MCC, the compact money, to be able to get the $200 or $300 million that ended up funding the renovation, the getting the My Coffee Hydro Dam back up and running. So, look, don't get me wrong. I really believe that I'm a huge fan, and from what I've been told, is that Gafuan is hesitant in taking this role because of his current engagements with the African Development Bank. And again, like I said, if the African Development Bank needs you as their country representative or as the country manager in a country, I don't think they will take someone who is not qualified. I don't think they will take someone who is not up to the task. I think Augustine Gafuan is smart. I think he's sharp. He understands. Yet he may not have been. I don't know if he was the best finance minister. I don't know who has been the best finance minister in Liberia, because we're still dealing with some of the same age-old problems. But again, I go back to the mindset that we have some structural problems in the country. Even if you were to take Timothy Geithner or Larry Summers into Liberia, they will have some of the challenges that some of these guys are dealing with today. So I think it's important that we put that in context. I know, Alex, sometimes you get a chance, you just say,
let us not
the thing about it,
Ben, go ahead.
Ben, the thing about it here is, Alex has been right how many times?
None.
I said the very same thing about Burma Kamara. Am I
You're
saying
right.
that this man? Hold on. I'm not saying
but Alex,
according to
Burma is not a minister. Yeah, but Alex, Burma is not former Minister of Finance today because he's not competent. That's why. He's former
That's
Minister
not
of
what
Finance
the Front
today
Page Africa report said, that Boyka asking to resign
because he had
performances.
from what I've been told is that because they say he had health issues. They say he had health issues.
What do you think he will say? What do you think he will say? You think he will come on and tell you say he's incompetent?
Come on, Alex, come on, man. The guy was not well.
No, come on, Ben, come on. You think he will come on? I can send you the article that said that Boyka was disappointed with his performance. Boyka had asked him, he had requested more time. Then before that story of mental health came about, go read the article. But let me get point it. Am I saying that Gafuan is not an educated man, or that he can't fit in any position, or he can't even be at World Bank or any other place? That's not what I'm saying. My argument is simple. When he became a finance minister. What is the job of a finance minister of a country? Okay, the number one job is to grow the economy. On Gafuan, okay, on a Taylor. Right, you know what our GDP growth was? I can give you that number. The short time Taylor was in power, the GDP at one point went double 100%. On average, about 22% growth. People don't know this. I track those things. Gafuan could better get 9%. So what I'm saying, what you want to compare? You talk about the corruption. The corruption stopped. The Kafuya had a plan to. Did they even minimize on the airline? You talk about the brown envelope that the government gave him money to represent it. You think where it started? So I'm not just attacking people credibility here. I'm looking at performance. I can care. It can be Santa Claus. He did not perform because the role of the finance minister is to manage the economy. If you go out and sign almost 60 contracts and your country state the seventh poorest nation in the world, your country state has one of the highest employment rate in the world. Your country completely economic chaos. But guess what? Every country basically got debt waiver. How do you stack the two? You can take one performance measure. You're a project manager, and you say because okay, I'll give him credit for the debt waiver. But what was the other things that Liberian needed? We still living on $2 a day. When it comes, you know how much Ellen Johnson got in the 12 years? How much came to Liberia? 16 billion. So you're not holding responsibility.
We can debate the merits and the demerits.
Yeah,
I think
so that's my point. I'm not saying he's not qualified for any position.
Incompetent, I think it's unfair.
Yeah.
Well, finance minister, according to incompetence as finance minister, because
that's Ellis view, though. That's Ellis view.
I mean that's a view. I'm not saying
he had no real world experience. He had no real world experience other than political positions in government.
That's not true. That's not true.
Position he had before he became.
Gaffwan worked at the National Bank of Liberia. He worked, I believe, at the
National Bank of Liberia political. That way you want to count.
It wasn't no political.
It wasn't somewhere, LA.
And the same National Bank. And the same National Bank today. Hold on now. And the same National Bank today. We're talking about where monies are given to people, millions of dollars. And the same National Bank. Hold on now. And the same National Bank that Transparency International is rating the country as one of the most corrupt, inefficient country. You can use that as an experience, as a benchmark. You know, let me give you an example.
Alex, who
compare Cummings to Kafuya? Compare Cummings. Okay, compare Cummings' resume with Kafuya.
Apples and oranges.
Okay.
Cummings.
Okay, compare.
Yeah, apples and oranges. Who will you consider? Who would Joe Boyka appoint as Minister of Finance that would meet your approval?
First, the person should not be recircled unless the person had an extraordinary record of progress, growth in the country.
Okay, fair.
So he eliminated from that. He did not perform. Secondly, the person should have commercial or banking experience, because one of the problems in Liberia is most of the people don't bank. We don't have good banking structure in Liberia. Okay, so that person should have some experience in the private sector so that we're talking about private sector growth in Liberia, right? You have no real private sector growth. If you take Echo Bank and a few foreign banks from all of Liberia is done. So you need somebody who can establish industry, somebody who has that kind of experience. He has none. Neither the American. This is not personal attack. You can just jump out of school, you go get a certificate for year there, Yana, then you say you qualify. It's just like a medical school. You go to medical school, doesn't make you qualify. What makes you qualify is you've worked at several hospitals, you have performed several stuff. So as a politician, that job at African Development Bank is a political job. Yes, he may be qualified for that job, but that doesn't make him qualify as a financial person. Maybe you take a bank president, a former bank president, somebody who's head of a financial institution.
So do you have
somebody who is
recommendations for the president? Names?
Well, I think even what a man is, Molu would have been better.
John Molu?
Molu would have been better because Molu was a CPA. Hold on. Why I would say Molu? Let's say why I would say Molu? Beyond Molu education, Molu has worked in finance and accounting internationally. Molu has written extensively. He has held discussion on various platforms. When have you seen Gafuya on any show with any finance person?
But he doesn't have to do those things.
That's a public. No. You have to do that. You have to do that because when you hold in certain positions, just like a bank president, you have to go in the public and forums where people know your views. What is it you're gonna do?
Well, let me just say that my only reservation I have with Gafuan coming there is that can they find someone else to do it? Why we keep putting the same people back after 18 or 20 years? You bring the same person who served in that position for him. You can't find anybody well qualified.
But Peabody, let me ask you
get out there.
But people, let me ask you the question again. I think we're putting it high, and what Lofa was saying. I think we're putting it high before the horse, right? You elected the former vice president of Liberia as president, who served for 12 years. You elected the party that was in power for 12 years. They will ultimately go into their basket. That's what they will do.
But I think it's
And I think there are people that are members.
Yeah, so Joe Walker as president. Joe Walker as president will appoint people.
The reason he's elected is because of the
the orange man back in power again. Yeah,
so like I said, we'll come here 6 months from now, we'll come here a year from now, and the same thing I'm seeing again, you will see it come to pass. Liberia growth and development will stagnate, there will be corruption, and there will be no progress. So I already predict in the future because he's not somebody that's innovative.
But he hasn't
been
appointed yet. Maybe he's not going to get the job. Maybe he's not going to take it. So
but I don't think he should because he's not qualified. Like I said, he had a poor performance before.
He's qualified for the job.
Qualified. Don't say
no, not as finance minister. I wouldn't put him as a VP at any bank because he does not have banking.
I'm not going to go that personal on him. Yeah. But
I did a thing with Obama Kamara, but that's my job here. Listen,
I'm not allowed to see somebody.
Listen,
my job as somebody who haven't served there before.
No, hold on now. My role in society and my responsibility as a think tank. MLB is a think tank. We evaluate these things. Okay, it's our job to come out here. Hold on now. Just the way we told you that Burkhardt would be horrible, and we said it again. We said Burkhardt would be corrupt, and I said Burkhardt would corrupt. You'll be horrible, and all this ain't coming to pass. It's because we do research. It's not personal.
Alex,
why people going on sentiments? We don't.
So what President Burkhardt call you and ask you to serve the Council of Economic Advisors?
And that's one of the things we'll do. I will submit him 10 names that will be 10 times better than any finance minister.
No, answer finance minister. Forget finance minister. Because
I can't work with Burkhardt because, like I said, I don't respect him as a person. You can't work for somebody you don't respect. He doesn't have any integrity. I'm trying to say, I'm not one of these people here that would just say, oh, and that's all missing in our society. You got to have integrity. You can't say, I will not go there and say I won't work for him, where I know that number one, he should not even have been president. So I wouldn't accept it in public. But I can give him recommendation on names with people who have real experience. Even somebody like Gabriel Carter in banking and finance is 10 times better than Gafuan. Gafuan cannot sit down and have a economic or financial discussion. I challenge him. Gabriel Carter.
Gabriel Carter.
You got appearance all around the place in banking.
Gabriel Carter's his spot guy.
You got Larry Kennedy here. Larry Kennedy working at JP Morgan. Larry Kennedy teaches finance. Larry Kennedy has extensive experience. Why would you take
does this president have a Council of Economic Advisors? Do you know?
Yes.
He just set up recently.
He set up. Who was on the Council of Economic Advisors? Who's the chair?
Where the former Burma Kamara was there. He has an economic. I forgot it.
I will check it because I know he said I think about in last
month. The list put a show in. He has an economic council, and so far they haven't even been able to put one economic plan forward. One economic plan the Unity Party has not put forward to address employment, to address GDP.
Alex, let me add a professor a question, man. Please, I beg you. Okay. So, Professor Kennedy, this the Central Julius, welcome, man. Welcome, Lofa. Welcome. Let me just ask a question. You can come in here, Professor Kennedy. So the issue about those checks from NSA, right? Somebody was asking me for the weekend. The central bank, do they have any right to stop it? Do they have the authority to stop it or check of that nature? Can they stop it? Or it's the government's money, right? But can they stop it?
Well, so here's the thing, because if you look at the act that created the central banks are not meant to be cashing checks like that. That's not what a central bank is meant to do. The central bank has some key functions. The central bank is the bank to the government, but the government doesn't mean the government can go cash checks at the central bank. That's not what central banks are meant to do. The central bank as a bank to the government, they keep record of the government's account. They also manage, every country out there has an account at the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, out of the 12 Federal Reserve districts in America, the 12 Federal Reserve banks in America, the New York Fed has an account for practically every country, except for like North Korea. Even China has an account at the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. You know, North Korea, places like Russia and all those other countries, and Iran, Libya, they don't have, but the Central Bank of Liberia has an account at the Fed in New York. You can't get up and go cash a check at the Central Bank of Liberia. It's not meant to happen. If that's meant, so somewhere in there, maybe there's a rule established to do that, but people shouldn't be allowed to do that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. So by doing so, people are circumventing the system to go and fleece the government and take money. I don't understand where. I think the first thing, Chief, is to establish where in the law it gives individuals the privilege or the right to go to the central bank and cash a check. Because if that's not part of the law, then right off the top, the legislator will say, okay, people are breaking the law in here, we need to prosecute them. Because just how we said, the president doesn't have the authority to suspend the central bank governor because it's nowhere in the act that the president can suspend the central bank governor. He has to be impeached. We also need to go back to the act and see if people have the right to go to the central bank and cash these kind of checks. Or did it just happen by the wayside and everybody just started doing it and it just became normal? So, but that's not what central banks are meant to do. But again, that's Liberia.
Lofa. Yeah, man.
What happened?
I said, can't talk about your country.
No. I'm a little concerned as to why you were trying to just be so combative with Alex on his view about Gaffron and his incompetence. I think it is Alex's view, and that is his opinion, and I think it's fair based on his assessment. Alex openly stated why he think that Gaffron should not be considered anywhere close to what we are looking for right now when we are speaking of people who are sincerely looking to transform Liberia. And this is part of our problem. We continue to recircle the same group of people who have been part of Liberia's problem since the birth of this country. And you think that we will transform Liberia because you think that at one point in time, you serve, okay. You know, because at one point in time, you felt like, hey, Gaffron is a good guy. We work together, or I know him personally. At this point, to be honest with you guys, I'm not trying to, sit out here and say we cannot associate, but we want people who have not had that opportunity and shown to be failure. Okay, Gaffron had an opportunity.
Or was he a failure though?
If we had to look at his record, if we had to look at his record,
what is the record that you're saying?
Liberia
economically, we can ask you a question, Lofa. You on the floor?
I agree. You can ask me a question. I mean, Alex is speaking, you're speaking. I'll give you the time.
No, Alex, please wait. Let Lofa answer the question because you took enough time to talk. Lofa, where did Gaffron fail? I want to know. Tell me.
Let us look at Liberia's economy today and let's compare it to when he served. Okay. Let us make that comparison. The reason why one would make that determination, you must conduct what we consider the comparative analysis of his presence then and current situation. What benchmark did he set? What rubrics are we using to make that determination? Are you saying today? Are you saying that it was his predecessor or other folks who actually caused us to be where we are today? His failure caused us to be where Liberia is today. So
can I interject? Can I interject?
You can interject.
Okay. So Lofa, I asked you a question. Where did this man fail? You say,
I answer the question.
You say his record.
Right.
I can also tell you, and I hate to do this because I don't want to be seen like I'm defending Gaffron or the Unity Party here, right? But let me say this. This is the same. It was under Augustin Gaffron, where Monsieur Saye first, right? I think Monsieur Saye served as finance minister for about a year or so.
Yeah, Anthony Saye.
Correct? A little over,
She
yeah.
was
I
the
don't think
first
she
panelist.
lasted more than 2 years, right? And right after her, Gafwan got appointed. Just even look at growing the national budget, right? It was Gafwan and I grew the national budget.
Most of that was
I'm not a
subsidy.
financial person, yo. Me, I'm not
Most
a
of that was
financial person.
subsidies.
So I don't want to say here to make any justification here based on finances. But my argument, though,
He didn't
look,
grow
you can
any
make the
budget. It
argument
was
about
subsidy.
you can make the argument about
No,
recycling.
Ben, let us not confuse the people with this whole idea of, okay, he grew the budget from here to you know what?
Well, it's important. It's important.
Ben. Okay, then the CDC can also claim such success.
Of course, it is a success when you grow the budget.
Okay, then let us look and let's compare the
Lofa,
situation of the
I think you're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing any point. I know. I've been listening. I've been listening all along.
Charles Taylor grew the budget by 100%.
It is considered success. It is considered a success.
No, success is
But let me say something now. Let me say something. I beg you.
on the lives of the people, Ben.
But that's my point to you. It is considered success.
About these.
But Lofa, it is considered success when you grow the budget. What you do with that growth is another thing.
Ben,
I'm not disputing that.
the determination, when we speak of success, when it comes to the economy, no one can, all of these stated numbers in the document, it is not reflective on the lives of the people. When Alex and I speak, we are speaking of the current day situation, the day-to-day lifestyle of the people. How reflective is it of the current situation? That's why we are looking at, we are not looking at the political positions that are stated in this document. The World Bank comes and tell you, okay, you grew your economy from 0 to 200, but the woman in the market can barely afford a cup of rice.
Yeah,
and
but
you
the
want
woman
to
in
sit
the
here
market,
and try to
the woman-
politicize and spin it. Look, you cannot mesmerize the situation of the people in the country, and that is just the fair truth. Nothing you can run away from, and that's why Alex is telling you today, look, he failed. Now we need to use the hands of other people who have not had a.
Well, what? So
Alex
my
just
question
mentioned to you. Alex just
My
mentioned
question
to
to
you.
you. My question to you.
Alex.
Give you the name of several individuals.
But,
Ben,
okay, so if you put Gabriel Cantor,
Ben, I will give you the opportunity to defend Gafwan.
Okay, so
I will give you the opportunity to
let me
defend
tell you
Gafwan.
why growing the
If you
budget
were
was
to put
not
Gabriel Cantor there,
Let me land. Let me
Gabriel Cantor
land.
get everybody in the market food.
Ben,
no.
that is not
But
the
you can
idea.
raise
That
it,
is
you can
not the
raise
discussion
living
point
standard.
here.
You can
But
raise
the-
living
the-
standard
based on the
by
growth of the
unemployment.
economy.
You can raise living standard by creating more industry.
Thank you.
can
You want,
raise
this
that's
is
what you
not, we're
look
not
for,
talking
not just
about you going out here and trying to distribute foods in the market. We are telling you to build the economy so that those young people out there can become self-sufficient at some point in time. That way, they themselves can obtain jobs. They themselves can go out there and serve as these young entrepreneurs. This is what you do. Can you speak to that?
Guys, let me speak to that. Thank you. Thank you for saying, can I speak to that? Guys, there are several factors, and Larry is here. Me, I didn't do well in economics in college. There, I'm just stating for the record. I
feel like I achieved my
I did my best to get a B in Econ 101. I think I took 3 Econ class and I ran away from it. I got patient for all your numbers and all that. I don't do that. The only thing I learned, the only number I could add, I counted my money. That's it. But let me say this, right? There are several factors that will lead to what you guys are talking about. There's creating a business environment. The thing you're talking about is for private sector development. It's for creating an environment.
The finance minister is responsible. The finance minister.
That is a part of the economy.
Guys,
that's the job of the finance minister.
The private sector contributes to the growth of the economy. What are you talking about?
Guys. What I'm saying,
you and I, we come from different schools of thought. Let us give this entire topic to Professor Larry, who actually is the finance man. Hopefully,
you think about what saying something? Hold on here. Ben,
let
Ben, you think about what saying something that didn't make sense.
And tell me what I'm wrong about my assertion here.
Larry,
so if I were wrong, Ben, you think Professor Larry would sit down here as a finance as a finance professor, right?
Right.
Don't put the person in. I can
A
see this.
luminary. Hold
All right,
on,
let me look.
A
Let me put it
luminary
in perspective.
in
I would
finance.
not say
One of the
Gafon.
best-
I would not.
hold on,
Let me just state for the record, my disagreement here comes from the fact that you all say Gafon is incompetent. And
Yes.
The finance
He's
minister
not.
I disagree with that.
incompetent.
I
He's not
disagree with
incompetent.
that.
But Ben, sorry. You know the whole thing about. Sorry, guys, and thank you for welcoming me.
Wait for your time. We'll get to you.
Well,
Hold
who
on.
was
No, now
saying-
I'm wait for your time.
No,
No,
we'll
listen,
get to you.
listen.
I want. It was my turn.
I want
That's
to
one of the problems
put
with
on
this
It was my
guy.
turn to get the professor's
I know you
input on
people.
this
No, I come in, my brother. We all got input on it. We certified and worked
Well, I understand. That's the reason why I want to get the
we'll get
professor's
leverage to the
input on
professor.
this. I will get to you. You have your turn to speak to that. Let me
You
get
got your chance. You will come in, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Just hold your peace. Thank you,
No,
Professor
you
Larry.
have to see people bringing in point that will sometimes.
Professor Larry, can you educate
educate
some of us? Can you educate some of us and the general public on what
Okay,
we are
let Professor-
discussing here?
Professor now,
And let it not be, because at least when it's coming from you, it's not politicized.
Look,
Okay.
And you
So
gotta
let me
stop
say
that.
this.
And I want you gotta stop. You gotta stop that. The professor guy who put it on.
Who restricted my
Wait,
comment?
wait,
Who restricted my comment? Who
Okay,
restricted
wait,
my
I'm coming
comment?
to you.
Since when? Go ahead, Professor Larry.
So I want to be fair and balanced to Gafon, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because there's this saying: when the U.S. economy sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Why is that? Because in 2008, Gafon came into power around 2008, and he lasted until 2012 or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that time, that was when Lehman Brothers and the U.S. financial crisis started.
Collapse. Thank you.
That's when the economies around the world tanked.
Yes.
I know, because I was trying to get hundreds of millions from Lehman Brothers, and I was paying JP Morgan's financing with the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. So I was following that thing closely because I'm working on Wall Street. So during the time that Gafwa came in, when the financial crisis hit, the income per person in Liberia, it dropped significantly. It didn't have anything technically to do with him because it was a global financial crisis. But people in Liberia felt it because the amount of income per capita fell. The growth in the economy within Liberia, it took place mainly in the mining and extractive sectors. Growth in the economy wasn't diversified. Because we noticed that by December of 2013, when Ebola came in through Guinea and it hit Foya down in Lofa, we saw a lot of the metal steel, all these people that leaving the country. We saw the economy crash again. So we know the economy was never diversified. But when he came in, credit to him, the economy was struggling. By 2008, 2009, he tried to get it up. That was not just him, because growth of the economy has to do with the central bank policies, right? The central bank of Liberia. The finance ministry is there to definitely keep the budget, the spending, and collecting the revenues of the country, as well as putting together fiscal policies that will help with the growth of the economy. But you also got to blame the central bank. So he came in. It's difficult to judge his performance because the global economy was suffering as a whole when he was in there. So he may have done enough to maybe stabilize things. He may or may not have done enough, but he just came in at a time when crisis hit, and he hung in there with the economy for things to survive. Because by the time he left, the person that came right behind him ended up having to deal with Ebola. So everybody had their own crisis, and then the person behind him, when they left, the other person had to deal with COVID. So Liberia is just one of those places. I don't know if that's bad luck.
And I'm gonna speak on a lot of
Professor, let me ask you. Let me
I
ask
don't
the
want to step
professor
on the
one
record.
question.
I'm doing my research and I'm getting enough information on
Thank
Gafon's
you.
role.
Ben.
So let's be clear.
Yeah, but let me ask the professor one question.
When it sent you the
Let me, Professor, what you just said here was
So what?
the word
What is that, Loba?
global
When they
crisis.
sent you the
Hold on.
information, we'll also
global
put it
crisis. Wait, hang on.
No, it's not information.
And before
Hold
Alex
on,
come
yeah. I
in,
want to ask the professor a
before
simple
Alex
question.
come in, let me say one thing. It's probably going to help substantiate what Alex is heading with this one. But let me say one thing. The major problem that Liberia tends to go through is because the lack of creativity. When we don't have a way to grow the economy or to be innovative, we end up running to the IMF and falling in this extended credit facility program, which is what handicap we are them, because the IMF will tie you at the ankles to make sure that you can only do certain things. You cannot borrow certain amount of money. But because we're not being creative, we don't know that we can go to Wall Street, do like what Ghana is doing. Ghana is accessing over $1 billion right now. We don't know how to do that. We run to the IMF, to the World Bank. We try the same failed financial policies. That has never worked.
Darn.
Yeah.
Prof. And like I said, let's be fair. We can argue about and I know if I'm talking about the same information. Who send me information? You know the party post me information. Listen, the reason I'm saying this is because
Ali.
Alex wanted to ask this question.
The reason I'm saying this is because you know how Alex came, gun blaze, right? Shooting from the hip. The men are qualified. The men incompetent. Then you
No. I said to be the head of the.
No. You see, no. But let me finish now. Then you Lofa came to buttress him, right? I'm seeing the two of y'all agree on something.
You gotta lay down case.
We got a lot to talk about. We should have focused on Gafwan.
Alex, guy, you're talking though. Alex, guy, you're talking.
And I talked about even the fact that Gafwan was the one. He led. There was an economic management team. Even
he was the head of economic management team.
For us to qualify to get that debt relief, you're trying to make it. You're trying to water it down. You're trying to water it down. But Alex, let me finish now. Let's go to Peabody too. You're trying to water it down. Oh, our Ellen, she was a woman president. People let her. No, there were heavy lifting they had to do. I'm actually looking at some of it. I talked upon myself when you were talking just now. To go online to look at Gafwan's thing. Both Gafwan, like I said, they're far from perfect. But one thing you will not say about those guys, right? Say you can have a difference of opinion on whether he should get appointed or not. But to say that he's incompetent, that he's unqualified, that he cannot, you will not recommend him to be vice president
for finance minister, and I stand by my statement.
Let me finish now. Let me finish.
But he misquoted me. I want you to quote me correctly.
Okay. But let me state this. Like Larry said, when Gafwan took over as Minister of Finance, it was probably one of the most difficult periods from an economic standpoint. He was able to stabilize it. I know I was talking about growing the budget, and Lofa was saying, oh, it's not a success. Yes, it is. For anything you want to do in a country, you got to have the money to do it. Now, again, like I said, you can raise a debate on what was done and how the budget process has been used. But let's also not forget that you are running a government where a majority of your national budget is spent on recurring expenditures. So it leaves you with just a small portion of the pie to be able to actually run a project-based government. But when you talk about mobilization, I'm looking at the thing here. I'm looking at there's a thing I can send it to you, right? Mobilization of almost $250 million from the World Bank, right? And other multilateral donors for road construction. It was under his administration. It was under his stewardship.
All those things.
They started building the roads. All of those things. You know,
So all of the relief projects and the support is what you're not just piling up and saying, okay, yeah. So he's not.
You said look at the income. Let me help you, Ben. You said he did not accomplish anything. That's what you said.
No, nothing in the job or the finance ministry. And this guy,
like I said, I read you the man accomplishments.
Okay, you know, in language.
God, let's give Sylvester a chance to come in too. Now, let's go to the next topic. Go ahead, Sylvester.
Sylvester, you know what Lofa's hosting? I will bring you on to talk at all.
It's quite unfortunate. And I listen to the professor, and let me say, he was to the point on the most serious note. And they were trying to fool the professor to be fair. The professor said he would be very fair, and he's supposed to be in that way. But let me be very frank and say to both Lofa and that of Alex here. And that's why the last time I said, particularly Alex, there's this deep zero understanding of government bureaucracy.
You don't interrupt the man.
Deep since when you think you referee, Ben?
Yes.
Deep zero understanding of our bureaucratic proceedings in our governance system. Let them push to educate you first and foremost that Gafwan achieved a lot as Minister of Finance.
Yep.
Gafwan was the first Minister of Finance that brought the Budget Bureau and merged it with that
Ministry of Finance. That's true.
And they brought the budget system in our country. Honorable Augustine Bay Gaffon was the first Minister of Finance that brought our payroll system back to the banking process. We were paying by the same way by payroll check. When the controller ready, he changed that and brought consolidated process to our national consolidated account.
Right. No. Once the statement is in agreement with Ben's view, there should be no interruption. Then Ben is okay with it.
When you interrupting somebody, the person can stop. I'm butchering the man. See the man continuing as I butchering.
Because you're in agreement with his statement.
The man,
whether he paused or not, you also interrupted him. But if Ellis was to say something,
this process, you know, I grew up from the forest, right? So we used to talking noise.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. When the birds are hovering and the animal are warming up, then we the confidence came about. So I wouldn't bother if you did those shenanigans and wow, you would distract me. But part of the process here, they heavily indebted contract proceedings. When it came about, there was a guideline and criteria set by the international partners. Gaffon, as Minister of Finance, put into place policy prescriptions that were in line with international partners. That how we were one of the countries that went through the heavily indebted nation thing. We went in collaboration with the former Auditor General, my former boss, John Sebe Moru. That how we brought into place the public financial law. We put into a very unique public financial instrument, the PFM law. It was only his instrumentality in that of he and the former Auditor General to put into place those things. Augustine Bay Gaffon also worked with the international partner. The Monrovia year dedicated to Buchanan Road was under his stewardship as Minister of Finance. The first that all of the structural role in our country was before when Edding took over, we were considered a pariah state. If anyone went to Monrovia at that time, from EAWA to Broad Street, they were all potholes.
You couldn't even drive.
No, all potholes. All the road was done through the World Bank intervention when he was the manager of our financial system. He was the chief superintendent of our financial system as Minister of Finance. Augustine Bay Gaffon. There was two major strategic visits to Washington, D.C. when they came to the spring meeting. Also, he put a very wonderful structure in place. So to come out and say this young man is not competent or qualified for the Minister of Finance job, something maybe he may have taken something that is higher than the thing he can normally take.
And 30 seconds to back. What our Peabody said on one point he missed, and I got it right here. The infamous system. Everybody talking about the infamous system in Liberia, right? Yes. The whole budgetary system with expenditure, all of the things that we are using today.
Those are things. Listen to me.
Be able to create, to critique, all the things that we've been able to critique,
and to also run through the process. It was the recommendation. It was the recommendation of the former finance minister. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. It was a recommendation of the former finance minister, Anthony Sari, to the president was very clear. She said she spoke to Anthony Sari. Anthony Sari highly recommended GAF to be the next issue of moving to
they recommended him.
Listen, come on, highly recommended because the woman felt the man is very competent to do the job. This is the man I graduated from the University of Liberia.
Okay, there you go again.
There you go. Okay, so can we allow?
I'm coming. He went through the process to the Central Bank of Liberia.
Ben, I hope you'll be begging for me to land the same way.
That's one of the reasons why last time I told you, on the most serious note, that's one of the reasons I said it last time. It's not all about us sitting on the show and just say what we want to say. We need to understand the folks back home and the role to play. You guys, I tell me 1 minute, you guys don't even understand the way the music.
Stop wasting our time. Seriously, I don't think you're wasting our time.
Listen,
I don't think you guys understand the music.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Okay, so Peewee, let him respond.
Let me respond, okay? People are entitled to their opinion, but you can't change the fact. You can't change the GDP number. I'm not basing anything here on opinion. I'm looking at Liberia in terms of the economic
current state of the economy.
Hold on. Hang on. Let me go back. Listen,
now we gotta go to the next topic.
Let me finish responding to you. Professor Larry said rightly that when Gaffon took over in 2008, you had a global financial crisis. I agree. Okay, but Liberia was not the only one who had a crisis. Ghana, Sierra Leone, Guinea. Do you know what was the rate of growth in Guinea between 2008 and 2012? okay, an average of about 8 to 10%. So Liberia were growing at what 6 and 5%. All the neighboring countries recover. Rwanda today, you know where Burkina Faso GDP is? 20 billion. In 2008, Burkina Faso GDP were half that number. So in economics and finance, you're not going by whether you like over the man negotiate anything. You go by economic metrics. So let me give you a last point. Gafuan was also, as finance minister, chairman of FBDI Bank. These were the people who were giving loans to government officials. One of his watch. He was chairman of the board of FBDI Bank. You saw when they brought in the new bank president, when he exposed the corruption that was going on in that bank for many, many years, and they fired him. So Gafuan don't know anything about that. Gafuan was also secretary, on the board. Currently, he on the board of the University of Liberia. Look at the dysfunction that going on at the University of Liberia. He's there. These are things that people don't know. Like I said, listen.
Let me progress, man.
And let me correct you for the that come here is free misinformation. It's not 20 billion.
You will let him finish.
I want to correct him because the guy gave a lot of misinformation around here.
He's scared. Just like any other Liberian, is welcome on any business show, including this one. If he was somebody, listen, if he was somebody, hang on here. If he's somebody that is qualified and competent, he's welcome on the show. Let's debate the economic issue.
Doesn't, but you see, Alex,
you cannot
Alex, the measurement. No, but Alex, the measurement of competence don't mean the measurement of competence.
Ben, allow me. Let me make this last point. When you say somebody is a professional, listen now. Let me make this last point to educate the public. When you say somebody is a professional, all right? What it means that only your academic, it means you got to have publications. It means that you got peer and more your peer reviews. Okay? If Professor Larry can come on the show here and talk about economic issue, who the hell is Gafuan that he can come and talk
Alex,
about?
That does not define the man competence. Writing journals.
Ben, I don't think Alex is focused on Liberia. You got marketplace. You got other shows where you have Liberian economists. You got Liberian financial expert. I had not one day seen Gafuan on any finance show where anybody there had go among people like you and people like the other men who know.
That is not the reason.
That way he shines.
That doesn't mean he's incompetent. That don't mean
he's incompetent. You don't
Ben, I don't think I'm not trying to speak for Alex here, right? But I don't think Alex is using his appearance on their platform. I don't think Alex is using his appearance on various platforms to determine his competence. He also spoke of his performance. So let us not highlight the fact that Alex mentioned his appearance on platforms to discuss these things as though that is the benchmark that he's using to determine his competence. I don't think you would be fair to the brother because that is not what he's insinuating. Let's be fair about that.
But he doesn't not speaking for him, but he's speaking for him.
I rest my case. I
just want to state for the record. That and Lofa, you were speaking for him. You were trying to clear the air for him. You were trying to clear the air for that. Why this unholy alliance that y'all have today. I hope you'll keep it up.
Just be objective.
But let me say this. I do not believe, right? Like I said, you are entitled to your opinion, which is your right as a Liberian.
It's a fact I'm stating.
Right? It's not. A lot of things you said, Alex, was not grounded in the fact, right?
The
One
GDP,
point, let me give you an example.
Income level, all those things.
Let me give you an example. One case in point, Gafuan was not even the chairman of LBDI when the loans were giving out. He was not. It was Amara Kone.
What I said was,
it was during the period when Amara Kone was minister. Gafuan was not there for the thing. The other thing I want to end because we're going to go to the next topic is you can have your objection to Gafuan being Minister of Finance. That's fine. That is your objection. And again, like I said, it's the sole prerogative of the president. The president is going to appoint who he feels he has confidence in to be able to shape his economic agenda, right? But to sit on the platform and say that someone like Gafuan is incompetent, and doesn't have the capacity or the capability to be Minister of Finance or to be Vice President of a bank, like I said, the ADB go through a rigorous process of vetting. I don't think the ADB would have given Gafwan the opportunity to serve as country manager in Uganda if he did not meet the bare qualification before we even start on that point.
Yes,
that's the first thing. The second thing is Gafwan may not even be appointed Minister of Finance, but one thing you cannot take away from him is that he did not serve his country, that he did not serve with distinction. He's not, listen, I'm not a fan of the Unity Party. I never supported the Unity Party. I've never voted for them before, but I will state for the record, I think Gafwan remains one of Liberia's best that is out there. Now, you can make the argument that he may not served before.
Ben, do you still want us to move to the next topic?
Can you change the topic?
Lofa, I specifically told you when somebody can be a doctor, that doesn't mean.
What's the next topic? What's the next topic? What's the next topic?
Serving before that,
we just left. The first topic was the millions of dollars check that were cashed by this individual at the central bank. The next topic now. Okay, we're going to talk about Royal Air Morocco. A flight that narrowly avoided accident at the Rawa International Airport on Saturday. Folks who were familiar with that, according to the Front Page Africa, the incident reported that the plane initially landed on both wheels, but shortly after they let the wheel vary into a muddy grass. So what's happening at our airport? What's going on, folks? Let's start with Professor Larry Kennedy first. Then we'll go to Sylvester. We'll go to Ben, Lofa, Tomalin, and Elledge. Let's start there, Professor.
Lofa, we got to pay some fun from Lofa Kennedy.
Yeah, I think I'll just be quick on this one because I know when you watch a lot of the global news, we've been seeing a lot of issues with Boeing airplanes recently, having a lot of issues across the U.S., overseas as well. But I think the major issue for Liberia is because we only have like one major runway. When something like this happens, it seems to put air travel at risk because we don't have the capacity to land multiple airplanes during certain times. But, I'm really glad that no one was injured, that, this was from the article, it seems like this was some sort of a mechanical issue after the fact. But I think the big plus is nobody was hurt, nobody was injured, because the worst case scenario is having an accident where you have injuries because we don't have the medical facilities to deal with the level of injuries that can happen after like an airplane accident. But I think initially when this thing happened, people were reporting that Air Morocco had crashed in Liberia. People were running and jumping to a conclusion that was a crash when in fact the press statement that came out from the aviation in Liberia, they wrote a pretty good, in my opinion, I thought they wrote a pretty good press statement, but I'm really, really just glad that nobody was actually injured, and it gives us an opportunity to re-examine the airport operations.
Yeah, Sylvester.
Yeah. So, and I think, I like that. But it's what I would say. Basically, thank God that it didn't come from our country to say this whole thing, from what Emira posted on her official website, is that it seems to be that there was some pilot situation. There was some technical problem with the pilot, and it didn't come from the wrong way. It didn't come from the navigation system planted by our authority on the airport. No, nothing whatsoever. They said the plane veered off the wrong way, and that's what they're saying here. And another thing is that the passengers on board didn't even know that had happened. On the plane, when the plane got to the final destination, they found out that there was some grass. It pulled out after a veer of the wrong way. So basically, and I would want to think a lot of things been happening. Different as the professor said about Boeing flight and other airlines, particularly Boeing. Nothing yet put it on Airbus. About the last time, the thing that happened about the door plug, the fuselage issue that happened when the plane was airborne, almost around 20,000 feet above sea level. It happened, and a lot of different situations be unfolding in circuit and issues. So it's good that, but again, we got one of the is that the new government level. I would want to call on them now to begin the process about trying to make appropriate use of our airport. Our airport, the Rabat International Airport, currently got about basically 3 runway, but I think we've been trying to use one and have that two currently. If we got the means, we can extend it and have everything fully in use, so that it will help us to put the airport into a more operational capacity in terms of these kind of things unfolding in the country. But yes, it was a kind of a very thank God. God was it was an unfortunate thing, and the pilot managed to play the role the coup, but at least nothing terrible happened. Eventually, everyone is okay, and the process went on. But yes, the runway is okay. Since the runway was done during Madame administration time and what have you, before the situation unfolded with Air France, and I think with Air France, the runway is perfectly okay, and all of the necessary navigation lights are all planted and the rest of that. But again, yes, this was some technical, and expected. It happened all over the world. It happened in the most powerful country and the rest of it. But then we're blessed that it's Liberia, the land of liberty, and that nothing unfortunate happened. So we will have to work with the airlines. All of the airlines, the aviation authority said they're going to be in very close contact and get some other informations to ensure that airlines will keep our passengers safe flying out and into Monrovia. So, I mean, it's good that it didn't happen the way it happened. But again, this is not a public relation news that will say we didn't do our wrong way. No, it didn't come from that. And we have to be first to say this, that it didn't come from our wrong way. There's nothing with the wrong way. Everything is in tight. There was a pilot error. And we have to know this moving forward. Thank you.
All right, Ben, then we'll go to Alex. I mean, no, Julius, then we'll go to Alex. Gotta make it just
Not me, right?
Gotta make
Yeah,
your
Ben,
response short with
Julius,
everybody.
from you, Ben, are you now?
So I'm gonna go first, or Julius? Which one?
Julius, go. Let Julius go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, let me start on this note, and hopefully any of you guys on here can make some clarity. I'm hearing that the government reported that there wasn't any crash at the airport. Is that correct? Am I overhearing, or is that correct? Let's just start with that first of all.
Yes, the government reported that. Not the government, the aviation authority reported. Reported that, and even Emira also reported that.
Okay, so first and foremost, let's just lay out the basic here. That is misinformation. Okay, you cannot claim that there wasn't an air crash when, of course, that incident that took place. The fact that it even just geared off the the landing script, it went off. Air crash can range from no injury to severe injury, and of course, considering whether it made impact to the aircraft. So you cannot come out and say no, there was no there wasn't a crash. Yes, the severity of the incident is what you want to relate to the people. I think they were misleading, because similar thing happened. Well, I wouldn't say similar thing, but if we were to consider the incident with the lightning system at the airport, when President Weah and his team had to turn around and all of these things, we cannot ignore the reality here. It could have been worse, and I'm just grateful that it did not happen, where people did not die. And today we are talking about the severity of it, as compared to us now having to sit here, God forbid, and mourn with the family or relatives or other people who were on it. But at the end of the day, my question here: what do we do going forward to prevent some of these things? What did the aviation authority learn from this incident? Because every incident in the Western world or other developed country, you use that situation to now prepare yourself to address future situation. What did they learn, and what mechanisms are they going to put in place to hopefully prevent something? Now, one would say the aviation authority had no control because this had to do solely with the plane itself or the pilot that were involved in the entire process. Okay, if that is the case, what mechanism again are we putting in place to prevent this in coordination with the airline? But my only concern here is the fact that we should not attempt to be deceptive because we want to retain that, you know, that public relation or confidence as far as what really happened, because we are afraid that folks will say it happened during George Weah time, now it's happening here. So we must admit, the incident took place, but the severity of it is not what it is, and this is the clarification that needed to be made, and they could go ahead and make that clarification. But I think that that's just my only concern, that again, the CDC government, just like the UP government, consistently believe in lies and propaganda, and this is one of the situations where again it could have just been, you know what, it happened, but it is not severe. Let's move on.
This is not everything we have. This is not propaganda.
All right.
No, I'm saying, how is this propaganda?
Let Ben come in though.
Let me come in. But corrected course. First of all, corrected course. The
So first of all, Lofa, let me ask the question. First of all, I don't know why are we injecting politics into this?
How is that politics?
No, well, listen now. Let me finish. Chill, relax.
That was an occurrence.
We gotta let you off of it. You are planning for me today. I don't have my birthday yesterday.
Politics too much.
But let me say this: if an aircraft veers off the runway, because I think that's what is been considered as, right? What was the reason for the aircraft to veer off the runway? I don't know if it was anything that we, the airport authority in Liberia, could have done to stop the airline from veering off the runway. Nothing. It's not like the airline. It's not like the runway didn't have lights. There was lights, right? So I don't think the responsibility here is on the LAA. I think what has happened, if it was maybe it was a mechanical fault on the plane, maybe, and I'm all speculating here because we don't have all of the facts, because the way these things work, they will go through a whole investigative process, right? They will investigate what happened, what was going on. I think what needs to happen from my own perspective just comes from the fact that, look, sometimes these things, it's one of the things that we take for granted in Africa, and it has to do with the fact that we, maybe we just used to it and say, oh, we get rainy season, right? I know many times pilots or airlines will try to defy the odds when it comes to the weather in Africa, right? Something as simple, even in this country, most of the time people can get upset in this country when people can cancel flights. They bad weather, right? Bad weather in Charlotte, so we cancel in the flight. Then you, the passenger, you upset. But there's a reason why. There's a reason they do these things, because there's liability, there's insurance issue. If anything were to happen when they're reviewing that process, the people can go back and say, you knew there was a weather condition. Why you did not cancel the flight, right? From that picture of that aircraft, you can tell that it was raining. You can tell that it was raining when that plane landed. That is first thing, right? So if they are landing in very bad weather, that is a possibility that visibility could cause the aircraft veering off of the runway, right? For me, the only thing I was trying to be sure and concerned about was that it wasn't our responsibility as a country to say, we didn't have light on the runway, or somebody didn't do their work, or somebody wasn't in the tower to communicate with them, and all of that, As long as the liability does not fall on Liberia, I think let's make sure the Liberian government, the LAA, needs to work with Air Morocco, work with the International Aviation Authority to make sure that they put in place whatever mechanism they need to be able to put in place to compel these airlines. Because I know sometimes I have been in Liberia where I have gotten on flights and I see the heaven pour rain. And I'm wondering, I'm like, God, is this guy getting ready to take off in this rain? But they do it because, at the end of the day, so I don't know. But my only thing I would say, is that I'm grateful to God that there was no fatality, there was nobody died, nobody got hurt, because at the end of the day, it could have been any one of us. And Lofa, I know you left Royal Air Morocco business. You always flying to Liberia on Royal
Man, I flew there 2 times, and not the first time. One time, 2017. I was flying with them 2017 to Monrovia. The seaway, the guy landed in the terrible weather.
Yeah,
and it was against their
sometimes
advice.
they do that.
Not okay, Monrovia.
Sometimes
the guys are brave. The last time, recent time, I ended up going to Air Brussels. We landed in Freetown. The weather got terrible. They delayed us for 2 hours in Freetown.
Yes. Liability issues.
Yes, because these are European flying the rest of the day. But let's know the statement Emirates made. Listen to the statement. They said, although the aircraft veered slightly off the runway, the pilot skillfully corrected its course. The pilot skillfully corrected, meaning they knew there was a pilot error due to the whole thing. The thing was okay. That's just, it's not our government. Thank God it's not our country. It's the pilot. Thank God nothing happened, but we should certainly all the country. There's no politics in this process yet. It was an unfortunate situation. There was nothing that could crash the issue in this place.
All right, Alex, go ahead. There's too many coming. Too many been waiting quietly here.
Alex coming to Lofa, you and he on the same page today, so he will say exactly what he wants to say. So no need to be putting your hand. Alex
happy birthday, happy belated birthday, Ben.
Yeah,
I can't
today.
I can't believe.
I can't wait. I will introduce you on the top of the 2 and I will fight Jera.
It's my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
We're not with presidential candidate.
All right. Ben would get on the right side at some point. But listen, I don't have much expertise in this area. I'm not a airport specialist but from the article, I think it was the plane, failure to stop and ran and kind of ran on the in the grass. So let's wait for the investigation. I don't think it's much of a political issue. And find out what was the cause. Maybe it was the weather, maybe it was the traffic controller, maybe it was the plane, and then we can speak intelligently on it. But this is not an issue. I don't like to discuss things that I don't have expertise or the facts on. I would say this much. What I do have facts on is that airport was built in 1943, I think. Okay, that is the only airport that can accommodate large plane, because we're not talking about Spring Bean Airport. It's a disgrace. I think there was $80 million in total that was spent to refurbish the airport on an alley. Sylvester can clarify that exact amount. The $30 million for the runway and $50 million for the terminal. And I think $80 million could have been used. It could have produced something more had it not been for corruption. Because you cannot have a country with just one lane airport, very short terminal, and highly cannot even accommodate, a lot of people.
Correction, it's not short terminal. We have the longest terminal in West Africa. Longest runway. But
there's only one. Okay, correct. But there's only one plane can land at a time. So according to the information.
Currently 2. That's not also 2.
2. Okay, 2 planes.
Yes.
Which is still a disgrace, because you're talking about international.
That's small country.
Listen to me now. I seen airport. We saw Delta cancel. We saw Air France cancel. What is going on with our management? When other countries are growing, Guinea just put a $300 million, I think, terminal project a couple years ago, right? And Liberia, that thing is not worth to be like a regional airport. If you really look at it, that was a military. Listen, that was designed, I think, according to what I'm reading, it was a military use, airport that after the World War II, that Liberia just, took on to be the commercial airport. So you want to tell me from 1943 to now, we couldn't have built new airport with the money that have come into the country under the corrupt Sylvester then government and the corrupt Ellen Johnson government, $16 billion, and the incompetent finance minister. Then you want to tell me we couldn't have built other airports in the country or terminals that?
What I got to do with the airplane veering off the runway? What I got to do with the airplane veering off?
Like I said, that will wait for the investigation.
And you're not interrupting Alex.
Okay, all right, guys.
Wait for the investigation.
There are too many guys coming.
But several there
Wow.
will have several incidences, life-threatening incidences at that airport.
Yeah, that's not a lie. I agree.
And that because
we're talking about this issue. This issue.
Ben, can you remind me
why you interrupting Alex?
I qualified that first by saying, number one, I'm not an expert in airport management.
Because I've seen airplane veer off runways.
Hang on now. Yeah. I agree. Even in the United States, even JFK. Yeah. Number two, the second point I made was that they wait for the investigation. Mm-hmm. I'm not seeing anything. When we get the investigation, then we can read what happened.
Thank you. So
we're just qualifying that it's a disgrace for a country for over 50 years, billions of dollars in concession. Every day we're signing loans. Every day we're having visitors. Every day our president traveling. And that one little pitiful airport that was given to us from the World War II, okay, it was 60 years ago.
I agree.
That have had several incidences. I don't know if people can land at night. You know,
no, it can land in the middle of the night.
No, please can land at night, man. That's a problem. Yeah, man.
But listen, I go by the facts. I wouldn't trust myself.
It can land at night. It can land in the middle.
You know, I wouldn't trust myself. But I have seen airports in Africa.
But it can land in the morning.
Listen that. And that airport will
no plane can land there. It can lay in the middle of the air.
So let we can celebrate anything here.
It can lay in the middle of the air.
Why are you interrupting this man, Peewee?
No, the plane can land in Lofa Forest. It can land there. It can land over Lofa Forest.
Dr. Peabody, are you going to protect Alex?
Yes, you have.
Dr. Peabody, can you protect Alex? Let a man land.
Yeah.
Alex, go ahead.
No, not too many times. Go ahead.
Not too many go on now. Not too many go on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but
Alex,
the first thing is that and MRI have issued any release since the incident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What a release said.
That's what the release said. The release was an issue that the release Royal Air Morocco flight Boeing 737-800 successfully landed on Rabat International Airport 5:15 a.m. However, a routine inspection uncovered debris on the aircraft and damage to portion of the runway pavement shoulders. Then the release went on to say, although the aircraft veered slightly off the runway, the pilot skillfully corrected its course. The aircraft sustained no damage and there were no reported injuries.
Okay.
Passenger on board, according to the release, Father went on to say passengers on board were unaware of the incident.
Because they were all sleeping.
Yeah, they were unaware of the incident until.
But you know, the assistant I can bring in the flight, you know, at the airport. So and I think the problem is that those systems are all. I think they are either just not. I think obsolete.
No,
Ben.
They brought a new one. They brought a new one.
Okay, but then
they brought a new one.
I think it needs to be searched. I mean, to be checked because
it's not a system. It's a pilot error.
Pilot error.
Yeah, pilot error.
If an aircraft veer off a runway, what does it have to do with the system?
It's not a system. It's a pilot error.
It has a lot to do with it.
Pilot error.
No, it has a lot to do with the runway.
Director, maybe.
Too many. No.
Guys, let me stop, man.
Why were the kids? I want to.
Go ahead.
Let me be on record. I thank God that nothing happened. I praise God for.
You told me that when you let our Royal Air Morocco fly you let
God forbid me. I was flew before. God forbid.
The only thing about it, they're part of our brain. They don't listen to the weather report.
You know how to do it. Arab people, I don't mess with the thing. They go to catch that. 41 in the Middle East now. I don't take chance with none of this stuff. You can capture that plane. You know what happened? I beg you. No, but on a serious note, I thank God nobody died. Nothing happened. No, we're not serious, but we need to take it's just a warning to us now. Take our runway. All should be taken care of seriously now.
The runway is
good.
Don't start defending that thing.
It's not defending.
You
have a brand new runway.
That's why you see. I'll say something right. That's why you see.
You have a brand new runway.
But why only one working? Only one.
But now look, why on traffic? You don't have huge traffic.
But now look, we can't be dependent on
Apple already a mess. It's leaking all over the place.
You see, I disagree. Let me say this.
The apple leaks all over the place.
First of all, do you guys know how much were even spent on that runway? There's a whole brand new runway. I think about 20 million, right? 20, 15,
$30 million.
30 million. It's with everything on it. It's a brand new runway. So the issue here is not the runway. I think, again, like I said, it's possible.
That was 10 years ago. Hold on, Ben. Now, I may not know, but Ben,
Ellis, can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ben is trying to defend this issue as though he been a part of the investigation and he's informed of the finding. Every time there is a crash, okay, whether it is the airline's fault or it is the airport, when they conduct these investigation, they don't just simply state that it's not the airport's fault, because there's reason why they coordinate as to whether the plane is allowed to pick up or land. There's a reason why all of these things are done. I was opportune to at least work at the airport where we were literally lifting bags and throwing them around. And even when there was lightning, we were not allowed to come out to get in the plane to do this thing. There's a reason why all of these things are done. Stop trying to distance the runway from the problem until what's his name said. No, you're making it sound as though the airport has nothing to do with it.
You guys are making it sound like we have a faulty runway. We don't.
There's a possibility that we don't have a faulty runway.
No, we don't have a faulty runway.
We can be provided detailed information as to what transpired. You cannot distance the runway from the problem.
There's no faulty runway in our country. The runway
you don't know about that. You don't know about that.
I know that for a fact. There's no faulty runway in our country. You guys need to stop these things that can be doing. There's no faulty runway in the country. That thing happened where there's a pattern error and the investigation continue. We're going to get the.
Why it is true that they admitted to the fact that the swing of the road, you still cannot take away the reality that the possibility here.
All right, guys, let's get to the next topic.
What's the next topic?
Let's get to the next topic.
This is not being political.
What's the next topic?
About the reality on ground. I could have been what Ben said. I can't afford to fly.
The president of Liberia.
You want to talk about
the president of Liberia is in the U.S. He's on his way to the U.S. to attend a business summit. Critics are saying that the president is spending $300,000 on the trip, and that money could be used to do something in the country. He should do his meeting by Zoom and all of that. I'd just like to hear your input. Let's start with Tomalin first.
Well, okay. I mean, a week ago I was in Rhode Island, and then I was told that the president was coming to Rhode Island, and I said, for what? They said, well, he's coming to meet Liberians there. But again, so then when I checked, the president was on his way to the States. But the question I would ask, the significance of that black conference they're having. I mean, look, with what Liberia is going through right now, anything that will help the country economy, that will grow our economy, that will spur development, I'm all for it. If this trip the president is making to Atlanta, Georgia, is something that will bring something to Liberia, I'm all for it. But when I check, it's like I don't know what we'll get out of it, because I didn't see the Minister of Commerce on that trip. I don't see the National Investment Commission chairman, and mostly people that are close to the president coming on the trip. So the question that lingering in mind is that what if the president is coming to the States? I mean, because he's due here next month. He coming next month again for the UN General Assembly. Okay, he coming next month. So a lot of questions being asked about it, the importance of that trip. I've not heard much from the South Korea trip yet. Maybe it's still working in the works, but a lot of the trips they are making, whether it's bringing any benefits to the country right now, we don't know. Or taking such a trip to the U.S. at this time when the country is going through what we're going through right now. I don't know what is the importance of this trip, but I know for sure he'll be visiting Rhode Island. But so far, I really don't know the importance of this trip, and I don't know. But maybe somebody know more about the trip. But I'm just confused. just confused.
Lofa no more, boy.
So right now,
I'm glad that you mentioned Lofa. But here's the website. I'm just sharing it with you guys. Since you mentioned my name, Pee-wee, here's the website. Anybody can go on this site, the 124th National Black Business Conference. Go there and you can actually submit your name, purchase your ticket.
I can tell the conference?
Yes, you can. Go purchase your ticket. Here it is. I'm sharing it. I'm glad Pee-wee mentioned my name. You know, that's what, those of us from Lofa County.
You can attend the conference. So what
is it?
And anything big about that?
So no, again, let me say.
I
want to address that. You're absolutely correct. Go ahead.
So let me ask a question. I want to ask a question.
Go ahead, ask a question.
Lofa, when you put that thing up and say anybody can go to the conference, yeah, you can go to the U.S. the chamber. What is it? The Corporate Council on Africa. Exactly. They have their conferences every year. People buy tickets. They go there. But they have keynotes. They have people who they invite to speak.
Exactly.
Right? From my understanding, from what I have seen, now we can debate the merits and demerits of whether this will bring any benefit to the country.
Before you jump to that point, it is fair for you to take into consideration the statement you just made as to the service. Again, you're talking about a country that is about 177 years of existence. You are simply leaving the country to come and serve as a keynote speaker for an event that returns nothing on our investment. At this point in time, we don't want to be the wasteful husband or wife. What we want to be here is we want to be mindful in how we invest. Okay, how do we benefit from this trip? And that's why when I say anybody can attend, just anybody, a Lofa Julius can attend that.
Okay, but Lofa Julius can attend, but Lofa Julius cannot be the keynote, right? Let's say, let's go. Okay, again.
But the keynote, the position of a keynote, how do we benefit? How do we benefit from his service as a keynote speaker?
Now, that's my point. We can make that argument. We can do that. We can talk about that.
Then the reason why the argument that anybody can attend such event is critical in this discussion is because when people who are attending these events bring to the discussion some ideas as to how our economy, all right, how we can grow our economy, then we are concerned. Then we are looking into how we can invest into that. Not to simply go and stand up and say, because you're serving as a keynote speaker, Ben Sanvee could probably be considered to serve as a keynote speaker because of his involvement in the politics.
Lofa, let me remind you that this is Joe Boyka that you wanted to be president in 2017. I want to remind you that, right?
Okay, yes, let's.
Secondly,
that's a good one, man.
Yeah,
that is a good one. That is a good one. And I'll respond to that. I will tell you the reason why. I will tell you the reason why. Joe Boyka.
Let me say this. That's the reason why I said that. I'm not attacking Lofa. That's the reason I said that.
No. You're attempting to do it, but you're logical about it. I can respond to you and tell you why.
Can I lay my thoughts?
Yes.
The man attempted to attack you, right?
I'm not attacking Lofa. I only said that because elections have consequences. A president can make a determination on where he or she.
Now you're taking away from your initial point of the contention, though.
Lofa, let me finish.
Okay.
A president can make a determination on which invitation he or she wants to accept. It is the prerogative. Your country budget gives him the leverage to do that. There's a line item in the budget called foreign travels. He can do that. Let me finish. It's the argument about whether it benefits the country. Hey, unfortunately, that is also his call because he is the chief executive.
And Ben, please tell him also question Ben. Tell him also that Article 57 says he conduct the foreign.
And he's the chief architect of your foreign policy, right? So let me say this, Lofa. Let me say this. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this. Do I think the president should have come to that conference, the Black conference? No.
So what are you defending?
I'm not, but Lofa, that's your problem. I'm not defending. I am trying to tell you, I am not going to hold the president at ransom because he came to a conference. I'm not. Let me tell you why I'm not going to do that. Because at the end of the day, he was trusted by the Liberian people to govern the country and to formulate its foreign policy. Maybe the president got something else he got to do in Atlanta. Maybe he got other meetings. I don't know. Could he have addressed it by Zoom? Yes, he could. Maybe he wants to be there in person. All I'm trying to say here, Lofa, is being a determining factor to say, oh, he could have used that money for something else or use it for something else. The president can also come out and tell you, say, I'm going to that conference to go ahead and meet different investors. I'm going to meet I will meet people on the sidelines. So let's wait and see what comes out of the trip. Nothing more, nothing less.
African president coming on a trip too.
No. If you look at the thing, I went on the website. He is the keynote speaker.
Oh, okay.
He's the keynote speaker at the conference. There are several other speakers. I think business people in Atlanta. It's a black organization. I think a black business conference, right?
That's the same when he went to Texas the other day and nothing came out of that.
But Ben, so how you see like that now? That he lobbyist team paid to bring on his award.
No, I don't think
I don't think they even pay for it. Let me say this. When you're president, vice president, senator, representative, you get tons of these invitations. They come to you all the time. Please speak to this conference. Somebody who knows somebody say, oh yeah, we can send the invitation to Liberia. It is the president's prerogative. His staff will bring him a folder of invitations. It is his prerogative to say, you know what, I won't go to that one. I won't go to that one. I want to address that one virtually. He decided he won't go to this one. Maybe he got other reasons why he wants to go to it. Let's wait and see what will happen.
Maybe the lobbyist set it up. They set it up. Look,
no, so basically,
can I respond to Ben?
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, the reason why one is considered a president is the ability to make decision that is in the best interest of the country, not to wait after you show to have been a failure in that decision-making process. Let me address your statement about my support for a Joseph Boakai presidency. Yes, in the second round of 2017, I supported a Joseph Boakai.
I didn't know you female.
Okay? I supported a Joseph Boakai against President George Weah because I knew there and then that President Weah, okay, whom you supported and others on here supported, to even rise to the idea of accepting the decision to serve as a president of Liberia, would not have done anything close to what is expected of a country like Liberia. And I'm telling you here today, in the second round, I knew there and then that President Weah and Joseph Boakai at the time, I would prefer to have a President Boakai, okay, to control things until we had a better.
But why you come up?
Let me land on this thing. When we got to this time where we knew that, I told everybody else, you and the other people, that a President Boakai was not in any way, shape, or form, in the slightest way, capacitated to lead Liberia because the characteristics, the character that is needed of a president to transform Liberia was nowhere close to what President Boakai represents. The ability to unify. This was at the time where we need a unifier, or we needed a unifier, because after a President Boakai George Weah presidency, the country was heavily divided. We needed a president that could unify the country, unite us, so that we can transform, move ourselves to the next idea, put ourselves on the right trajectory. Unfortunately, I did not see that in the President Boakai. And if you can tell me today that my assumption were wrong, then I can say I made the wrong decision. But
you see, you got in your feelings for nothing. I wasn't attacking you.
I did not say you were attacking me. I'm just speaking.
Let me tell you why I was trying. Let me tell you why I was trying. Let me tell you why I was trying to go.
I did not get my feelings.
I was trying. Let me tell you why I was going when I said this is the same Joe Boakai you supported in 2017. I was simply trying to allude to the fact that you voted for a chief architect of your foreign policy. When you supported Joe Boakai, You supported the Joe Boy guy in 2017. It's not different from the Joe Boy guy in 2023. That is the same man.
The same man. George Weah, who did not do much.
But that's my but Lofa, that's what I'm saying. You think I was trying to attack you? I was not trying to attack you. I was simply trying to say to you that
let's move on, man. Let's move on.
I was just simply trying to say to you, my friend.
Let me.
When you elect a president, I was simply trying to say, my friend, when you elect a president, you elect somebody to govern, to formulate your foreign policy, and you have to accept those responsibilities.
No, that does not negate the fact that when he or she goes wrong, you hold them accountable.
But what wrong? So I'm asking you now, what wrong has Joe Boga done to go to the conference?
What wrong has he done? What I'm asking of here is, what would be the return on investment?
You don't know.
We don't know that. So that is why I'm questioning the decision.
Why are you asking for return the conference in happy year?
Exactly.
What do you mean? Greg, come on, man. Let us stop.
Listen, guys. Yeah, my point. Is that trip going to benefit Liberia?
Thank
what
you.
What does Liberia stand to gain from?
Okay, we don't, but we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
I think it's just a PR thing by his lobbyists. It's just a PR thing by his lobbyists to put him up there. That's all. Ain't nothing.
That's it.
Let me say. Quite frankly, the last time the president visited this country, my information is that, and let me try to make this disclaimer before I know there will be bazooka coming out, and I'm prepared to deflect those bazooka and fire back.
But when he came to Atlanta, Delta coming because I will fire bazooka at you.
He met with supervisor there instead of
I'm informed that when the president came, that's he came the last time on the trip. There's this conference also is going to bring about more than 40 powerful Black mayors. This conference. And part of the process is that the president is very key on transforming the city of Monrovia also. So he's going to use his connection to engage most of those, has different tete-a-tete. We have something in diplomacy we call the sit-down meeting. It's very important in tete-a-tete in diplomacy. The sit-down meeting is where your president is, and you sit and you confer with those people. And what it does is that it brings some traction to bear. In terms of allowing those guys to leverage resources back to the country. So one of those is the president is going to easier to elevate his.
I said, Peewee,
I
know who the president will tell.
I come in. The first and foremost thing here is that to be the keynote speaker of this process is something to elevate the line for the person to come to visit. Now, I'm not going to the detail.
PR thing.
I come in. I'm not. Yes, it's a PR thing, and everyone wants PR. It's a PR stunt. I'm not going to the detail of what the country is going to accrue from this visitation. I'm myself sitting waiting for this process. But one thing I'm key on here is the process about to let my dear brother Lofa to understand here, the president doesn't have to travel to accrue benefit for the country. No, it's not the intent of he being the chief architect of the foreign policy. Most of the time, the president travel also to promote the image of the country.
Whoa. Oh, I heard you got to be with Elon Musk too, right?
The president travel. I think I've been. You try to intrude me, man. This is unfair to me.
That phone call, Elon Musk.
The president travel also to.
I'm sorry, buddy.
The president visitation to most of the ECOWAS meetings.
I love highlighting all that when you see him doing anything in the hill. That child of the strap Peewee doing anything. You see it so. That Lofa.
So the president visitation in all those countries sometimes is meant towards fulfilling Article 57 of the Constitution, right? So going to ECOWAS meeting often, going to Monrovia UN meeting, it doesn't accrue anything for the country. The country representation, part of the reason we are part of the Committee of Nations. If you're part of the Committee of Nations, you have to have your representation in those meetings so that we even pay money to go to our dues. Right? Do you know we pay ECOWAS, we pay United, we pay in other countries, we pay in other organizations that we're part of. The country also pay for her membership and our role to be part of the Committee of Nations. So the chief executive of the Republic of Liberia is the chief architect of the foreign policy. He knows how to leverage the country position. It's not about you coming to say, oh, the president is going here, he's bringing 10 million. No, it's not all visitation, presidential visitation. We anticipate some money coming back to the country of this. But what it does for the country, it opened the country business portfolio. right? It opened network of the country for other people to leverage that and tap into some of those things. Because the president is the most powerful administrator of the country. The president is moving to.
Alex, let me borrow 10 seconds. All right, please, Alex.
Let me see that picture behind you with the flag.
Alex,
And got some connection. Which picture?
Which picture with the flag? That one. Are you?
Yes.
Alex,
this is
Alex.
Yeah,
Alex, can I borrow 10
yeah.
seconds of your time? Alex, please, can I borrow 10 seconds of your time? Please.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No, but I edit
Thank you.
I'm finishing.
Thank you.
They up here today. Not easy.
Let me tell you something, right, Peewee? After everything you said,
Uh-huh.
you agree that the president travel out of the country is to make sure that we benefit, whether his presence at a meeting for ECOWAS, he is representing Liberia in Liberia's interest. We are not speaking of the monetary value. We're not talking about the instantaneous benefit.
Yeah.
Okay? Whether he's traveling out of the country, even his medical trip out of the country, it benefits the country because he's trying to keep upkeep his health.
To be fit, yeah.
Okay? So you can't say not every travel the president makes is supposed to benefit the country. You're wrong.
You didn't get me. What I meant was that it's not all the president travel will benefit the country, but not all will come with money or everything. Some will
That's
benefit
what
the country.
I'm saying, and that's why I'm correcting you on. We're not speaking of exactly. I'm glad that you corrected yourself on that.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about monetary process. Yeah.
In this case, when we speak of benefits, we are asking whether it is a long-term benefit or short-term benefit, and how would the benefit come? We must know what sort of benefits, and this is what we are talking about. So whether you can't say the president, all of his trip, should not have to benefit the country, then he's being wasteful. Go ahead.
But even if the president is killing two birds with one stone, I don't have a problem with that, because I mean let's not make it fun, man. I'm serious. Stop it. No, let me see this. No, on a serious note, right? Even because on a serious note, if the president is coming for medical attention, a medical checkup, it's not a crime he's committing. Everybody knows the president. Whatever the situation of the president is Asian health, he needs advanced medical treatment. He come for it. I mean, we got to take care of the president. As the president of the country, we got to invest in him and take care of him to make sure he's up there. So the president go to Atlanta and speak there and fly to Rhode Island for medical stuff. No problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
And that's why Alex and myself were asked for the president to be honest
Alex
with
and yourself
people.
were asked?
Yes.
Your team?
Or Ben Sanvee, Dr. Peabody, Tomalin, and Peewee. All of us were asked for honesty.
Done with the topic.
Yo, Troy, let's move on.
Alex is yet to speak to it. Alex is yet to speak to it.
Okay. So here's my view on it, okay? I don't have any problem with Joseph Boakai traveling for a conference. It's part of his job. If for nothing else, just representation. I think Ben said that. I don't think that is going to promote Liberia economy or decrease it or affect anything. That's one of the presidential privileges. Even if it's just an Olympic opening match, they can do that. Okay. So I'm not gonna politicize it. What I do have problem with is the ineffectiveness of this president. That's what I have a problem with. I have a problem that when you can't do your job at home, the job that Liberian people have hired you for, okay, it's almost 8 months into the presidency, and this man has not even completed 75% of the people he's supposed to appoint. He's still appointing people up to this day. So how the country work is going to be done?
That's not also people true. They're almost done with the appointment. There's not much appointment left.
No, you just appointed people this month.
Okay, by the way,
not all
you be out there.
Y'all let him man speak.
Let me bring it to you.
Guys, if the president
it's not true.
If the president has finished making all the appointment, then his press secretary needs to come out and announce it, because every month I see new names. Just August 1st.
Do a job. I would do a job.
So he needs to finish it. As to me, for somebody who has been in government for 40 years, it shouldn't be that difficult. Liberia got less than 5 million people, maybe 500,000 people there are even university student or graduate that would be capable for a job. If you, after sitting down for 6 years, can put a list of 5,000 people together that in 8 months' time you still doing it, then you don't deserve to travel anymore.
They gotta be vetted. You can't point people can vet them.
But you had it. That's why it's called transition.
But
that's why you had 8 months. That's why you have a civil service. Listen, man, the president alone.
Everybody in the first.
You have staff.
By the way, the president is about to. I mean, I just getting information to be confirmed. The King of Belgium have granted the agreement for the new ambassador designate to the kingdoms of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, Benelux, and the European Union. Ambassador George Slow. So
they appointed him already. They appointed him.
So you made my point.
They're about to be announced. I just got a message.
Still inadequate in performing his job. You still have the yellow machine issue, which was an illegal act. He just recalled the War and Economics Code appointee. Again, people came here, we said these things. This person was not qualified. This person was not the appropriate person. When we say qualified for something, it doesn't mean that or somebody's unqualified for something. It doesn't mean that the person can be suitable for another job. Ben, you can be very much suitable to be, NEC managing director. No. On the president trip. It's on the president. It's on the president. Because I think this president is unsuitable and unqualified to run Liberia. You live in a technological world. What over the last 8 months, what progress has been made? Everything he's put forward has had major opposition. He has to retract. The country still today, like I said, you have a poor economic team. You don't have a financial policy. You don't have a healthcare policy. You don't. Where were all this noise? All the people that in the Unity Party, all the people that your term smart people, they went to LAC, cum laude. Why haven't they been able to lay these things out to give it to us who not the smart people so we can evaluate it? So the president shouldn't be going anywhere. He should stay in Liberia and focus on the bread and butter issues. The country is deplorable. You talk to anybody in Liberia, they are hopeless. Any normal person in Liberia, young and old, they are giving up on this leadership.
The president I think he broke ground for the.
It's all they're doing. Bringing down is nothing.
I come in for refinery LPRC. That would bring a lot of jobs and investment to the country. He also broke ground with LBS. With our friend Eugene Fagon. You just doing a good job at LBS for modern.
And that's supposed to carry living standard up. That's supposed to stop. That's supposed to feed.
Growth and development.
No, it doesn't have any economic consequence.
Make a nationwide tour. We come out begin nationwide tour. You know that?
Okay. And how much is it going to spend? And how much the people going to be beneficial of that?
We dedicated projects around the country when you travel.
Yeah, but the GDP and the indicator,
the
life expectancy,
they are working. Look,
they should have been done doing his transition. They should have been done the 6 years.
Okay, let's go to the next topic, man. Let's go.
Dr. Peabody, can I just ask a quick question? I just want clarity. I want clarity on something here, though, because I was a little confused. Alex, initially you said you have no problem with the president's trip, okay, because it's part of his responsibility. But then you came back and said that's being wasteful. He's traveling, and I'm trying to understand, like, where do you stand with initially you said
it's a very good question. Like I said,
right, initially you said you
don't have the measure you are conflicted.
Let me land with my question here. I'm trying to get clarity. I want to get
the point he's trying to
conflicted.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with a president traveling so long you can do your job at home. And in this particular case, I don't feel that the constitution job has been done. Focus on those things. That's my point. So I don't have a problem with traveling.
Okay. So in general, you don't care with the president's travel, but you don't think President Boykai is performing adequately to actually take advantage of that opportunity to travel.
That is my point.
That's a great point, Alex. Alex, that's a great point because I think I agree with you that in order for you to take advantage of all of these amenities that come with the presidency, you should be performing adequately. And
At
this
least
is
the
exactly what Alex
do
is
the
saying.
minimum thing. Appoint all your people. Do the
No, what are
minimum.
you guys doing? What are you guys talking?
It's a
What
process.
are we talking? I'm telling you what, Alex. I needed clarity.
You
Alex
got
is saying that President Boycott.
60,000 people to
Alex
help the
is saying
president.
President
60,000
Boycott is
people on
performing
payroll.
So let me ask the question. So let me
he
ask the
should
question.
stop wasting the taxpayers' money.
Let me ask the question. Normally, the way our constitution is, our president takes office the third Monday or something in January, right? Right after the president takes office, the first meeting that the president has, the first foreign travel normally is something in the region, right? So maybe one of the Mountain River Union countries. Next is probably the AU summit. Are you saying the president should not make a trip to the AU summit just because he finished forming his government? More than likely,
No, that's a different. That's an
yeah, that's what I'm
those are
saying. My
conferences.
point is,
That
is
is a little
presidential. I think you were right, Alex. Presidential travel is a part of the job. My thing is, let's wait to see what the dividends from the trip will be. If it's something that he's coming to do something on the sidelines, if he feels this is an opportunity to be able to come and rub shoulders with different people, let's go ahead and do it. It comes with the territory. I'm not going to sit down and nitpick on whether the president travel. Presidents go to inaugurations of their friends. What benefit does it give to the country? Nothing. They go there, they attend a program, they drink champagne, and they come back. They just say, "Oh,
Bilateral relationship building."
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That is the same thing. It's the same thing.
What you ask, what benefit? That's
But
what I'm telling you. You guys continue to say
the president, but Lofa, the president don't have to attend an inauguration before you have bilateral relationship. They don't. They go there because it's a way where they go to go mingle.
Ben, let me ask you a question, Ben.
Talk to people.
Ben, let me ask you a question. The rest of the panelists here, do any of you have an idea of any concept that President Joseph Boakai is capable or will be able to lift the Liberian people out of poverty, stop corruption, and improve the country even by a little inch?
I think Ben agreed.
Let's be honest here.
You think what?
You're on the record here. Talk to the Liberian people.
Well, let me tell you now.
All this travel, everything. Talk to the Liberian people.
Population believe he can do it though, but now the question is
what you believe. You, Tomalin, you tell me as an informed person. You in the media, you know everything. Do you really believe?
But I'm not for that for Joe Boakai.
I'm getting your analysis. Everybody gotta look at it in the mirror.
So far, I'm not satisfied with what he's doing. I'm not satisfied with his performance so far. I feel that he has divided the country more. Okay, I've been there. The country has been divided more. He's been. I'll be honest with you. He divided the country more, and I think that for the fact that he's going after people that work in the CDC government, who identified as seditious, I think it's wrong. And one thing I've been spending my time talking to most of the officials. Then when we talk, I said, look, you cannot put the country in this situation. Because if a man back is against the wall, he found nowhere to turn. He can result into anything. And you want, and the country is so fragile. The piece of so fragile to put Liberia into any kind of a chaos. So I think the way the proceeding is wrong. We went after 10-year people, and then the whole team of audit. I welcome everything, but should not be don't cherry pick. Do the audit comprehensively. Go after everybody be involved.
Every decision. Almost every decision that he's made is questionable. It questions his ability as somebody who has been able to
the decision of audit. I hear you for that.
But it shouldn't be selective. It shouldn't be telling the audit commission to go investigate a central bank. The audit commission knows who to investigate. The president shouldn't be directing them to his political opponent. So every decision
that's wrong.
Was that what the Cynthia said 6 months ago? So that this man would be a failure.
So let me tell you what. The president today again has appointed another retired doctor from Lofa to be the chair of the PPCC. This man, Dr. Kamano, he retired many years ago from the UN. Right. Many years ago, man, taking a break. And you take him back and put him in that position. He's a medical doctor. You didn't send him to JFK to be chairman of the board at JFK, but you sent him to be a chair of this PPCC. What is wrong with this government? Are they just awarding old people, Lofians, and all of that?
It's the leader. He's a bad leader, judging by the performance is in the last 8 months. Let's call it what it is. Let's stop beating around the bush. All the men look, what people people in management and leadership and they do is they evaluate people based on substance, not based on what I liking, I don't liking. You look at Liberia today, okay? You look at the decisions that have been made, like I said, the yellow machine, the road construction, $20 million went in poof. $22 million. And the minister was, yeah, $22 million today, people still stuck in the dirt. When that was something that he uttered all of his mouth, that in 6 months' time, no car will be stuck in the mud.
Ellis Jones, they took a poll recently. They took a poll recently about who you think will better run the country. And we are in Boga again. So the people,
there's a background noise.
I mean, like I said, everybody's free to think for themselves. Everybody can take their poll. I don't know what the poll.
So now you think
my job here,
majority of the people want to change? You think they want change? If they want change,
guys, let me answer this question. Clearly, I didn't support President Joe Buckeye, and I didn't support him because obviously I didn't believe that he was going to do what he said he was going to do. But I do believe something, though. I do believe that I come from the school of thought that believes that nobody gets elected to the presidency and wants to do bad, right? I fundamentally believe that. I think they get there, they get caught up with the challenges. How they navigate during those challenges equates to success or failures, right? So to answer your question, Alex, no, I never believed. I said this from the beginning, that I never saw Joe Buckeye as a leader. I never thought the things that I look for in a leader, decision making, firm decision making, differentiating, those things, I never saw it in him. I may have been wrong. I may be wrong. He may prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong, because if he proves me wrong, my country benefits, right? So I'm rooting for him to succeed. I want him to succeed. The reason I want him to succeed is because whether we like it or not, I form part of the next generation of Liberians that will inherit Liberia. So if he does well, the country is going to do well. We're all
he's not going to do well based on what you've seen so far.
So let me say it now. So let me end on this note. So I just want to end on this note. Do I think with the last 7 months, with some of the mistakes that I've seen President Buckeye make, his government make, with his decision process and stuff like that, I have not been disappointed, because, like I said, those were some of the things that I was afraid of, that I thought would have eventually happened. Somebody can ask, oh yeah, we're not discussing we are yet, right? Now the two choices we had to pick between the two of them, right? In my mind, we are already president. So I'm like, okay, you know what? He already has gone through, he gone through the ringers. Hopefully he gets better in the, because that's what election is about. Election is about hope. You hope that the person do well. You're not in the person's mind or the person's heart. They will say they will do well, but you're not in the mind or the heart. So I still believe, though, that if he is willing and ready to course correct, if he is willing and ready to make the pivot, I still believe he has the capacity. I mean, he has the potential, not the capacity. I still believe he has the potential to be probably one of the most consequential presidents that we've had. If he starts to make some of the firm decisions that he needs to make, if he forgets about the next election, or who's going to replace him, or who's going to retire him, or whether he will run for a second term, and he just focus on, according to him, because I've been hearing that from his folks a lot, that he say he's focused on the next generation and not the next election. Well, but Mr. President, I don't see you making the decisions that a leader who is focused on the next generation will be making. I'm talking when it comes to the fight of corruption. I'm not, yes, like Tomalin said, the audit and all of those things, but I see him nitpicking. I see him being selective in the way that he's going about doing some of these things. When it comes to the decision of forming his government, key promises that he made, he's already broken on forming his government. A simple promise of every county will be represented on the cabinet. He was not even able to live up to that. And the president cannot tell me that he couldn't find one qualified Liberian from every county to fill what, 20-something cabinet posts. So all of those things have been false starts for him. Do I think he has some time to be able to course correct? Yes, he does. In politics, 1 year, 6 months is a lifetime. But I think President Joe Buckeye should the mistake I think most of these presidents make is they don't identify what they want their legacy to be. I think they come in trying to do almost everything and they end up not accomplishing anything. I think Joe Burger needs to come in, focus on the mindset of, listen, I am a bridge builder here. I am a transitional leader in this process. I'm going to make those tough decisions. I'm going to structurally fix this thing. I'm going to lay the foundations that no matter what government come after me, once the foundation is strong, there's nothing you can do to the house, right? I think if he starts to make firm decisions like that, he has the potential to be able to be.
Ben, real quickly, do you believe that there are people who are smart and there are people who are not smart? There are people who have high IQ and people who have high
We
IQ.
got a
Do
few
you believe
minutes
that?
left. Let's
Of course I do.
Okay. So were you expecting somebody who doesn't have the IQ or the ability would not be able to do that? It's called wishful thinking. If the man has not done it in all of his previous administrative jobs, you don't have anything tangible. Besides the Ladi Unity Parties there, magically were here fabricating things. Joseph Boyka has not been a problem solver. He has not been somebody who is a trailblazer, somebody who has went somewhere and solved a problem. Stop making things up in our head. I know sometimes we want our expectation. We want somebody to be good and capable. But when it's not there, it's not there. This old man just took this position out of envy because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was a president and she did tremendous things and was recognized. He too felt he could be a president. In my view, that's all. 80 years old, why are you trying to be president? That's the first thing. So it was not all a genuine cause. I never sat there and heard Joseph Boyka articulate the kind of changes we need in Liberia.
That's not new development there in Africa. We have issue about the age.
You know what I mean?
So
we the person has the potential. You got people like where they've gotten from Rwanda, Paul Kagame. You got people like Ibrahim Traore. These are people where you can just listen to. First of all, Joseph Boyka cannot even communicate. He doesn't even have the ability to speak to people and get them to do anything. That's not leadership qualities.
I agree with you.
Sorry.
I agree with you, Alex. I agree with you. He doesn't have the energy to speak before you even come out with the idea. He doesn't have the. You hear him speak.
Yeah, and
so I'm sorry, the Liberian people. I'm sorry. What you're hoping for, you're not gonna get it.
But you see, one of the reasons why I think
that's why the man got a young vice president for.
One of the reasons why I believe that today Ambassador Boyka is president of Liberia is because of people like Alex. If Eddie had stayed in the race and he had listened to me to go and register.
Now you're gonna get Lofa, and Lofa here to say you're the campaign manager for Alex next presidential bid.
Look, Ben, let me just say this, right? If you put Alex and President Boyka in the race, I would take Alex over President Boyka. Okay. Ben, here's my thing, right? And I think a lot of time we take these things for granted, but one of the most important part of moving Liberia forward had to do with having to unify the country. Under President Weah, Liberia became divided. It was heavily divided. CDC and then with the opposition, the way the opposition went against CDC. Okay, so it was heavily divided. Now coming to this government, we needed somebody who could unify the country with an innovative thought of transforming the life of the young people. Nobody was asking President Boyka to transform Liberia in 6 months, 2 years, 3 years. But the foundation, to lay the foundation so that by the time we hit the 3rd year of his presidency, Liberian can see that he started to fight corruption. He fought the issue of nepotism and other things that we frowned at when President Weah and his likes were in power. Okay, these are the things that I knew yesteryears that was almost impossible to come out of President Boyka, and that's the reason why I said it openly. The idea to elect the President Boyka was at the detriment of any growth and success of the country. And here we are today. I am vindicated. When I say to you, I can happily say.
So let me ask you a question, Lofa.
Yes, ask me any question in the word.
You think Joe Boca has failed?
I think based on.
I mean, he still got 5.5 years left.
Ben, hold on one second. Ben, hold on one second. Let me tell you something, Ben. Ben, let me tell you something, right?
Oh, man. Let me be realistic.
The president, after 40 some more years of serving in government, he is to understand, okay, how to build and maintain an institution, what a government agency or anything of that nature, right? His first step in decisions should determine his ability to be successful based on vast majority of the decision that he had made over the past 7 months. I am not positive that President Joseph Boakai can succeed, and he will fail miserably. We will come right back here and you will say, Lofa, yeah, but you know, we couldn't have said it. But I'm telling you, look at the decision this old man is making.
So you don't think he has failed, but you believe based on the decision he has made so far, he's on his way to failure. That's what you're bringing.
Not only is he on his way to failure, at this point in time, we simply need to give this man his retirement package and ask him to sit somewhere and just watch the entire process, never bring somebody else on.
Take over? Is that what you want?
Let me say something.
If I had the authority, if I had what it takes, right, to save Liberia from the calamity we found ourselves in, I will beg my uncle, President Barker, I'm begging you, let us give you a retirement package. Please go somewhere in Lofa. We will build you a mansion. We will give you anything you want. Stay there and let us bring an ideal president who can.
No, but how do you do that? Your constitution
move like bro for who?
Your constitution says the vice president takes over and the president resigns.
Oh, Ben, here's my thing, right? Here's my thing again. I will bring you back. I told you.
Are you calling for a military?
I told you from the get-go, Ben. I told you. You can never, when we're discussing transformation, why are you even mentioning Jeremiah Cohn, one of the most corrupt? One of the most corrupt. That's why I said step away.
So you mean the president, the vice president will step away?
It's almost impossible for me to
they were democratically elected.
The people were elected. How do you say
democratically elected?
That's what I'm saying. I spoke English, guys.
So you say if you had the power,
you don't have that power. So
I don't have it. I don't possess the power to make that decision.
Undemocratic take over? Is that what you want?
What I'm saying to you guys here is based on what I have observed from the Jeremiah Cohn and his corrupt practices, which is obvious, okay, and that of President Boakai's corrupt initiatives that he's been involved with. I don't see any future for Liberia. I don't see any future for the young people. So why should we waste our time? We are simply here just reminding our people of what we told them yesterday and what we are telling them today. These two individuals, they are nowhere close to what Liberia needs for true transformation. And that's all I'm saying to you. We must move forward beyond the President Boakai and beyond that of Jeremiah Cohn. Jeremiah Cohn is just as corrupt, or probably even more corrupt than any other person in government, just like the Edwin Snow, the Alex Tyler, and you can name them. Ben, you probably know a lot of them more than I do.
All right. Lofa.
Let me just make it.
I think this
I beg you guys. I will just make it important point. Let me educate you on something.
This is not about. This is not about sentiments here, my dear brother Lofa. This process is about country democracy, and the first and foremost thing here, I will say, and I will say it openly here, that I don't criticize. I don't do an evaluation of a government that was elected by the people in 6 months, in 7 months, in 8 months. In a year. For me, trust me, in the 6-year term, I will start my evaluation process around 18 to 24 months. 18 to 24 months, dead about. Now, in terms of our constitutional democracy, we elected the woman as president of the country. Let's agree, God forbid he's incapacitated tomorrow. It is the constitutionally vice president that was elected along with him will be the president of our country. We don't pray for it. We don't pray for it. We don't pray for that anything to happen to the president. But one thing I want to say to you, he got a vice president that is able And the last time I had issue with Mr. Gonglo on this platform, I always said to Gonglo, remove the personal process between you and the vice president and face the reality. If one have not been, all of you guys got, even you, Julia, got issue with me on that. I have stated emphatically that Mr. Kuhn, or Vice President Kuhn, or Senator Kuhn, if I would call him that way, because no matter that reason, if the vice president is corrupt, he will have to be convicted by a competent court of jurisdiction to prove that he is corrupt. I have nothing whatsoever to ever come in and splash back at the vice president and say he's corrupt because of sentiment. Perception problem is a very serious issue in our country. So I have removed this. So for you to have the mindset that he cannot be a good vice president because he's corrupt without anybody, any court report indicting him, where any court indicting him, that's a solve. It is,
and maybe you have forgotten.
Sylvester,
think about those kind of
Sylvester,
things.
let me help you
So
yet.
that's the policy
Sylvester,
issue. You don't have to
Sylvester,
have
let me help you yet.
You don't have to
Forget the corruption thing, right? So
It's
forget the
about
corruption
leadership
thing.
skill. The man was represented.
This
The
man was
was
in the House of
right. He's a vice
Representatives.
president,
Hold on,
he
yeah.
can be president.
But I beg you, Ben. I just want to make sure point to fuse that man.
You cannot
idea.
diffuse nothing.
This man was in the Senate. Listen, he was in the Senate. Can you point to me one bill that Jeremiah Kuhn has sponsored and gotten passed in the 12, 18 years he been in the Senate, 12 years? Let me go to the lower number. That are benefiting Liberians today. Can you point to that bill
Listen,
article?
I may not come here to pinpoint particular.
Okay, when you get
listen,
one,
1 minute, please.
when you get one,
1 minute,
so
1 minute, 1 minute,
again-
1 minute, 1 minute. I may not be here to pinpoint particular legislation that the honorable vice president may have submitted for part to go into the process of
So how
legislative issue.
do you
But one thing
judge
I know,
somebody?
one thing
You
I
get
know,
judged them because you like
one
them?
thing I know, he was a flow fighter in the House of Representatives. He may have
Yeah, but
collaborated
you judge
for
a
law to
senator
pass
or
in the House.
representative
For
by the
He was a flow
initiative.
fighter, meaning by that
Okay,
he
Sylvester,
collaborated with
let me
other
educate you.
lawmakers
That's
to
not
pass
foreign
law of our
policy
country.
yet.
He collaborated with that.
This is management.
And we
This is
need
not
to know
foreign
this.
affairs. Foreign affairs, I will give you that, but this is management.
No,
You
politics in
judge
general.
people.
Give me that.
Hold on,
Politics
hold on,
in general.
Hang on, hang on, You judge people by the job description and what the person's job is as a senator
The
or
performance
representative
result.
is to pass laws that benefits the Liberian people. So if he cannot show it, which means he just collected Liberian people money for 12 years and he gave nothing. And I hear that thing in Liberia where even the 6 years thing. That's why I like the British system. Look at the British system here, right? They just moved Rishi Sunak. He was only there for 1 year. Okay, you had before him there was Tris. 50 days she stayed in office. 50 days. Before her, there was Boris Johnson. Only 3 years. So that thing you're talking about saying that somebody got to wait 6 years to show their performances, it doesn't make any sense. You know how many destruction and first of all the budget, the resources that we're using to waste behind these people for another 6 years, that can develop a whole county or counties. So you don't need to wait. If you say you want to wait, you tell a dying child or hungry child to wait for 6 years, so that Joseph Boakai can fail. He's already failed. The simplest thing was to just have integrity. You got your FPRC managing director going out and taking out illegal loans. You got and you the president, and you doing nothing about it. The person is still in a position.
The police took loan too.
Okay, and you say that you somebody who is you have integrity. You working government for long. Why can't you reprimand them? Who has been fired in Joseph Boakai government administration for all the errors and even, like I said, the road project? He's nothing but a tribalist and a person who sought the presidency or the entitlement. He was not capable. He's not qualified. Yes, Alice Jones said it. He's perhaps is a good tribal chief or somebody who could have served as an elder, but as a president and executive person who should make tough decisions for a whole entire country and a young generation, he's already failed. Let's absorb that fact. I can give Weah some chance because Weah did not have that kind of experience. Weah did not have that. He didn't come from a public service background. I can be a little lenient on him. But you was vice president before. You were minister of agriculture before.
Good point.
You were managing director of FPRC before. And you want to tell me you get in government and you make laws, and even George Weah, who just came from the football pitch to become president? It's a disgrace to the country. And anybody who supports this thing, and that one when you'll be talking about, oh, the other person is smart, the United Party people, is the worst thing that ever happened to Liberia, because they have no sense of direction. They will only support things that benefit them. Why we're not hearing all these things coming up for your California? Why they don't talk about the ills in society? Why they don't talk about the bad leadership like somebody like John Molu? Because they don't have integrity themselves. Public officials, it's about your integrity. It's about standing for the truth. Like Lofa, me and Lofa don't agree on everything. But if he's saying something that makes sense, I won't say because we don't agree on everything or he doesn't support me, so I won't identify it. So that's our problem. This man's a failure. Let move on and start thinking about the next generation, 2029, what we can do as a people, learn from our mistake, and so we can develop that country and we can make it a better place for everybody. You, me, everybody who live there. And all the man's doing is ruining it. Every year you spend almost $700 million. You think that money going to come back? When you sign all these concessions and collect that money, so 6 years from now, 700 million times 6. You just wasted. It's irreparable. So let's be serious here. Just put politics aside.
All right, guys. Alex, you said it.
Thank you.
We almost get into the hour, bro. Let's talk.
Yeah, I know Alex talking a lot, hey, but Alex, right now, right? I think I put a proposal. I think Professor Kennedy put a proposal today in the chat room. You ignore it, but you talking all these things you want change. Right now, right? They tried 2005, UP were elected. 2011, UP got re-elected. 2017, 2011, 2005, the guy elected. 2000, 11, right? The guy elected.
Tomalin, he came on the call later, though. Ellis came on the call later.
Oh, so
you see that? Thank you, Lofa.
The two parties keep on defending today. The two parties have the country for the last 18.
Thank you, Lofa.
You're welcome.
19 years now, right? But the people did a poll recently. They did a call line, and the people voted again for Weah and Boyka. But you would think, say, okay, you want to try the other people. You want to try the people you have not trusted before. What we say that integrity, as you said, they are clean people. Cummings, Gonglo. But you said the biggest fun.
Ellis right who can try him.
And you too. But
at least I can step up some
you're making fun of
at least I can step up.
You see, how we are change the country? How we are made forward? You think you're ready to change?
So Tomalin, can I respond to that shortly?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's my idea here, right? Again, it took one person to sell the failed candidacy of a President Boyka, right? Well, the presidency, not the candidacy, but the presidency, because he obviously is failing. It took Henry Costa consistency in telling Liberian the lie that this man was the only person who could save or rescue Liberia. He coined the statement, the rescue train.
The others for countering Costa?
Huh?
What's that order from countering?
Well, hold on. That's what I'm telling you. That I'm not saying there wasn't an opportunity, but I'm telling you, in order to address your statement about.
You support it too, right? You support the same. You're supporting the same. You're supporting it.
Support what?
Boyka, right?
Again, you're going back to 2017 in the second round. They want to distract me.
The men supported Boyka 2017.
Maybe I need to make clarity on that part, right? Again, I had a President Boyka, a former Vice President Boyka, running against a president candidate, George Weah at the time. I didn't think President Weah would perform. And so, of course, I think I was proven right. And here we are again when it came to that opportunity to make another decision. I told you, do not vote vote into office, Mr. Boyka, because I could see it. Okay, I review his past records, and I'm telling you, none of his record proved to be favorable when it comes to governance, when it comes to leadership, the characteristics that we will look for in a true leader, in a leader who can actually transform a nation. He did not exhibit any of those. So what would have informed my decision to support such a candidate? So I said no. Now let me address the issue of, how do we move forward? The way we can move forward is we must accept the disruptors. All right, the typical Liberian politicians will no longer sit and allow the disruptors to come in and take away what they are literally just craving for, because that is their only source of survivor. That is their only means. But you know what? We can disrupt the entire process so that the status quo will no longer control the narrative, just like they have done for years upon years without having to transform the nation. And in order for us to do that, we must unite under one umbrella, regardless of our tribal line, regardless of our religious belief, regardless of our sex or gender line. We must come together and fight the corrupt politicians out of office so that we can hopefully give the opportunity to those who understand governance, those who believe in serving, those who understand that being a servant, okay, is more than having to enrich yourself at the detriment of the suffering masses. And that is the only way we can transform Liberia. If you were to allow Liberia to be controlled by the narrative of the corrupt politician, you have nowhere to go. Our people will continue to remain where they are, because the likes of Peewee and other people will say to you that it is constitutional. Until it is not in the Constitution, or until it is proven that an individual is corrupt through the legal system, even though one can conduct lifestyle audit and make their own assessment of such thing and make the claim as to whether an individual could be considered corrupt, you will say we have a long way to go.
And let me say also,
One second, right? Let me just say something. Somebody, I won't call anyway. Somebody wrote. You're complaining too much. The president is corrupt. Bring the VP. Wait, he's one of the most corrupt officials.
Oh, we read that to get the chair.
Bring a speaker. Wait, he's a criminal. Record. He too is corrupt. Bring us. So you guys, you be complaining when the person is the person corrupt. The person is corrupt.
Have they not exhibited the behavior of corruption?
Let me say this here.
Let me tell you something. We got 5 million people in the country.
Let me say here, it's unfortunate that Judah, you sound the way you sounded just now because our country is based on laws. It is not based on perception of people. It's not based on someone sitting in the corner and think the way they want to think.
No, God doesn't follow those.
We don't structure.
Thank you, Alex.
We don't structure the basis of our country on saying lifestyle audit. If you did a lifestyle audit, you will eventually have to go to court to convict someone. If you didn't go to court, there's no process in the country. You need to go through the rule of law in our country. And one of the things I will always say, people that didn't take time to study our governing politics will run to some very, very much quick kind of a conclusion that the country is this, country is this. We are understanding the fundamental process of the governance issue of the country. Now, there are convoluted and complicated matters back in the country.
And that is the reason why we're telling you our problem is systematic.
So
the systemic problem is what needs to be addressed so that these people can be.
How I come out to sit down and say VP of this person is corrupt with no iota of evidence? Okay. Am I reasonable enough to do that? A reasonable person.
The same broker was in there, but we are.
Person would never throw.
I can let you get away with this. The same broker was campaigning on we are being corrupt. We are convicted in a court.
Right? So if anybody said we are corrupt, and I've always keep saying this place, if anybody ever alleged that we are corrupt without any iota of evidence, that person may have been all different thing. If anybody said that, the United government broke out with the name. It's the court system to condemn anyone. The court system, and that's why I want to use the court system to not weaponize the justice system. We should not weaponize it.
Sylvester, what were you living? The Liberian court system is corrupt.
So you need
Okay,
to stop
I was
it.
just on a constitution. No, let me say this. And I'm not saying it all of my own volition. Justice Cabinet, and I on a constitutional review program. He himself said it. He said even the constitutional Liberia, the way it's designed, all right, it would take even Jesus Christ to come there and not steal. And this is one of the most profound persons in Liberia.
It's not true. It's not true. And about he can be profound, but he can't hear his own sentiments.
But
Right?
what he's saying, you think he doesn't know what he's talking
I
about?
don't believe. Our constitution is well structured. Is that an implementation process? We have
Mr. Peewee, and that is exactly what the problem
the
is.
best constitution in the world.
No,
It's the
Sylvester.
implementation process of our
So
law.
Sylvester, here's the problem, right?
Justice Kennedy didn't tell you that.
Sylvester, you
I
can
don't think he would tell you
accept. Sylvester, you can accept the reality that Liberia problem is heavily on the system. Okay, had we addressed these issues systematically, we would not have been at the point where a president can do what President Boyka is doing today. Okay?
Go and get machine from another country.
We won't have done that.
Bring
So
the machine to the
what
country.
we must address it when you hear people referencing individuals in government who are considered corrupt, it's because the system has failed to prosecute these people or get involved. The legal system is far back on its back. Okay, the judicial system is just a flat. The people don't benefit. It's 1% of the population that actually benefits from the system in the country. How can you consider this system one that functions? No, exactly. We are talking about a system that works, and our problem is the actual system. And those who have been a part of the system cannot be excluded from the entire problem. I hear people say all the time, can you honestly sit here? How long did Jeremiah Cone serve as a representative? Can you distance him from the problem in the country? How long did President Boyka serve in various agencies in government? Are you sitting here and attempting to distance President Boyka today from the problem in the country? Edwin Snow, Alex Tyler, all of these major contributors to the problem. The Amara Kane and other people, the man who claimed that upon his ascendancy to the Senate, he would declare and publish his assets. He is yet to publish his assets.
And that is in the code of conduct.
These are the kind of things that we are talking about. It's a systemic problem that we must address as a nation in order for us to be successful. If we cannot do that, Sylvester, we will not move Liberia forward.
And there was time we need to balance our emotional intelligence here when it comes to
that is not emotional. See,
right?
When you say
Amara does not own you to publish his. He declared it. There's no law.
Public official.
There's no law that's preparing Amara to publish assets.
We have James Brody.
You see, Alex, let me address this, right? When you speak of emotion or sentiment, Sylvester, Sylvester, let me say this. Sylvester, let me say this real quick. Give me a chance, right? When you speak of emotion or sentiment, I hope that you would take into consideration the statement that was made. Sylvester, let me land.
Don't say Amara saying you're wrong. Amara been doing what he's supposed to do. He was elected to perform this responsibility. Amara have contributed tremendous.
The code of conduct, which is part of the law, Sylvester. I can't believe that you're deputy minister. I can't believe that you're serving government. I can't believe that you live. Sylvester, let me address that. I'm not letting him get away with it. Sylvester, Liberia has a code of conduct that will pass into law.
You have to listen here. You have to listen.
What you see here is completely inaccurate. Liberia has a code of conduct which is part of the law. It says that you must declare your asset. James Brother said declare your asset does not just mean
declare.
Listen, declaration means that you should make it available publicly.
No,
James Brother said
it. No, it didn't say.
He's a legal scholar.
Either to the LSCC or the GAC, not to publish it. It didn't say that.
Sylvester,
you must declare your asset.
You see, Sylvester, this is why I said earlier, it is the system that you use to corrupt the people. Because when you speak of the statute, okay, the Constitution, the code of conduct, you are trying to use the Constitution to justify some of the things that we know are either ethically or morally wrong. When you speak of
Lofa.
asset declaration, when
Lofa.
one asks to
We have
declare
laws
their
on the
asset,
book. We
it
have
is
the-
to make. Hold on one second,
We have the
Sylvester.
Freedom of Information Act.
Sylvester, let me
They
state it.
invoke-
The Freedom of Information Act, considering this the nation we find ourselves in, you and I know definitely because of the corrupt judiciary system that will keep us void of being able to obtain that information, so it is used
Have you
against
attempted
the
to do
people.
that? Have
Whether
people
or not
avoid
I
information?
attempted
Have you
doing it,
attempted to
I'm
do it?
telling you that there have been other people who attempted and they failed miserably.
That's
So
not true.
I
That's
did not
This-
go through.
this-
I
that
did
happened
not
last
go
year.
through slavery.
That's not true. That's
Sylvester,
not true.
I did not go through
Sylvester.
slavery, but I know and heard and read of people
Look,
who
I don't
went
even
through
waste the time,
slavery.
Sylvester. He's
So I'm not
brainwashed.
supposed to sit here and say because I did not go through slavery, so slavery did not exist. No, what we are
Listen,
telling you here, in
we-
order for
we
us
have-
to
we
transform
have-
Nigeria,
we have,
the
the-
systematic problem that we are experiencing today must be addressed, and it must be done holistically. It cannot be done partially. And
we
those
have-
who have contributed to the failed state that we all are experiencing today must be held accountable, and that includes the current vice president, the current president, and other members of government who served in government.
And one person, I believe clearly here, people should account, people in the public glare or in the public domain should account to the people of Liberia. That is clear. And the public accounting system is very, I'm one of those that support that vehemently. Now, yes, but in the absence of proving one to be corrupt or one to have violated the structure of the state, of this person allegedly pillaged the resources of the country, there's appropriate mechanism that we have to put in place to uncover whatsoever thing to expose one. We structure our laws in a more appropriate way. And the structural process of the law is so unique to the extent that we have different phases of the law. For instance, if one were to declare their assets, if the declarations, the first process is the intent to declare. If the declaration process is done, the responsibility is now on the owner, is on us, the people. For instance, I have tested the Freedom of Information Act before. I need a particular information, and I invoked the Freedom of Information Act, and I got the process. There was some bottleneck created that I needed to publish myself because they said there's no money. Yes, it's part of the process of going through the Freedom of Information Act, right? In every system, particularly our system, a developing or underdeveloped country like ours, trying to go through the process of public policy reorientation, right? We cannot read it. We cannot read it. So we do have that in place.
That's
So
all
the
you're looking for,
process is that
Johnson.
the president of the republic, or the vice president, or ministers, or other public officials, lawmakers, the code of conduct is clear that they should declare. If you are a public servant, you will have to declare your assets. The code of conduct did not indicate or specify in any of the law that they should publish their assets. Now, if you want that asset that was clear to be, you want it to be known, but if what Professor Peabody declared you want it to be known, then you go and invoke the Freedom of Information Act. That's an instrument that you can.
No, but what you were saying is true, though. What you saying is true.
But Tomalin,
use that.
It was intended
that way, the Freedom of Information Act prohibits.
Now that the Freedom of Information Act prohibits one from publishing their asset. Nowhere in the Freedom of Information Act that it prohibits such action. Let me just land on this note, right? Let me just land on this note. He publicly, Amara Kone publicly said, upon his ascendancy to the Senate, he will declare and publish his asset. I still have the information in my possession.
No, but a good point. But listen now.
Yeah, so what are you arguing about?
He said you declare assets.
He said he will declare and publish. I have the written document.
You declare assets.
I'm about to publish it in the chat room. He said he will declare and publish his asset. I have the document in my possession. I'm not going to vote. You know what? Let me share this with you.
Declaring and publishing an asset, you declare it with the GSC and give it to them.
Come on, man, Sylvester.
That's the
Look,
problem.
I'm reading.
Walker
Sylvester, come on, man. You're speaking to a world.
right?
Well, Sylvester, the last thing I did was to eat my tuition. Sylvester, the last thing I did was to eat my tuition. I didn't do that. Don't do that.
I think it's some of your tuition.
Right.
Okay.
Don't waste your time with Sylvester.
Public
Sylvester
okay, put it on the chat here.
Okay. Give me a second. Guys, go ahead. Let me find it.
Let me say this now. Sylvester is on point. Now, they say you should declare your assets, but whether you make it public is up to you now, right?
It is up to you.
But anybody who is rational, anybody who wants to show that they have integrity and they're honest, you won't have to be told to make it public. You will do it, but you're not forced to do it. But if not, the law says that if you want to make the person, compel the person to publish, make it public, you use the Freedom of Information Act.
That's it.
Okay, I will use. If you use
why can't they pass a law? Why can't they pass a law that upon declaring your asset you have to publish it?
But not
Jeremiah Cohen why he didn't propose? Hold on now. Why he didn't propose a bill? Since this is something that Liberian people care for, why he didn't propose a bill to make sure that all public officials
we can have that negotiation. We can have that discussion. We can have that discussion. We can start to do that.
Okay,
I'm not going to do that.
Yes, the second question. Why public official salary? Why public official salary are not published?
It's public.
What country do you go to where you
don't
know how much
your minister
making?
It's public.
Where is it public?
It's public. It is.
Tell me where I can find out the salary of the minister.
Go in the budget.
In the budget.
It's not there.
No minister may more than 6,000. It's there.
And Chuchu is public.
It's not there. Show me. Carry on the chair on the screen. You tell me that all public official salary are public?
Yes.
Of course.
It is.
Where the website? What website do you I can go on? Julius,
is there E2 component? Is there in the
where
component?
individual people pay are published?
Show me the national budget. You find it.
Is there?
It's not. Come on now. I'm an expert on this stuff here.
Oh, go find it in the budget. We're telling you.
But every day you
it's not.
Come on, man.
There's some of it in the budget, but there's no individual.
Pee-wee, can you read this?
There's no individual line.
Pee-wee, can you read this? Here you go. Can you read this? Alex, can you read it for us if you can see it clear? This is what I'm
I'm not man's a liar.
Yes, keep peddling lies. The day I declare my asset, Liberians will know because I will publish it. Okay. On no condition I will read. Yes. So Liberian will know I will. He published that he declared as he informed Liberian that he declared his asset.
The day he declared you published it. Did he publish it?
He informed that he informed Liberian that he declared his assets.
Guys,
that's it.
You know what? Good night, guys. Good night, guys.
Listen.
First of all, in the statement, read. No, continue to read. Continue to read what he said. Read what he said. Continue to read.
On a no condition, we are lead the battle on transparent elections that prevented your party from stealing the Liberian people vote, and I serve the same people in secret. Okay. You have no deal with me for 9 years. Open government now and forever in Liberia. Oh yeah. But what happened to that? And
what else? What else?
Of course, he didn't open to the Liberian people. Right. Of course, I'm not being open to the Liberian
people. This guy can see white and call it black.
In his approach towards Liberian people. Of course, I'm not being the champion of the Public Account Committee to bring transparency to bear. Of course, Amara is the one that is trying to put accountant process in place.
But listen now, but guys, the last thing we're talking about, right? The legislative branch needs to be audited.
Don't go there, man.
Yeah. So now Amara is calling for audit of the legislative branch.
Of course.
Which I support. So what I want to know, you're giving what your thoughts about it that you audit the legislature.
I think 110% support that decision, that idea. But let us remember, Amara Kane was not the first person to suggest it. Yeke Koluba, Musa Hassan Bidede, and other people suggested it. And as a matter of fact, Musa Hassan Bidede, Representative Musa Bidede, did not only say it, he went further to make sure that it is done. That's what we speak to. Okay, he acted upon his statement.
If we are giving an award to lawmaker of the year,
Musa Hassan Bidede would take it.
He has been the only one who have been.
Give it to Mr. Benedict, not because I'm sitting on his radio station, but I will give it to him.
I will get it.
His performance thus far.
You got to put Amara on my back.
You put Amara on your back.
Well, you're two from Lofa County. That way you put your.
Amara not from Lofa.
That way you do.
Amara not from Lofa. Amara from Bapolo.
No, but out of all honesty, let's be real here. If you are to credit somebody
that
for
Lofa do
work
from Lofa.
done,
Lofa do from Lofa.
Why it is true that you know Amara is contributing, and I cannot take that away from him. I would not be fair. There has been some contribution made on his part that I must credit him for. But the hero today that represents the idea thus far, based on his work, his consistency that was brought, to the House, give it to Representative Musa Hassan Benedict. This man has shown to be consistent.
I will commend the representative of
yes, he's been consistent in his fight, and some of us watch from the back. And I hate to say this publicly because it is often heard when you start to praise them, then to go and kind of just rub the fellow in the oil. I hope that is not the case with Representative Musa Hassan Benedict. But what I'm saying here, he must be credited. But when you talk about the lack of Amara
Conant, let me tell you something. For what Amara Conant did to that Ministry of Finance and Liberian people, he should be in jail. Okay?
I won't follow the Democratic Convention.
If I were president, they have become president of Liberia.
I got to follow it to my son. My son actually is voluntary for Kamala.
And you'll be
He's campaigning for Kamala.
Yeah. Listen, if you were talking about,
let me finish this.
No, nothing you're saying there.
But you've been speaking, Sylvester. You know,
no, but you're
talking
talking
about that is wrong.
Let me say this. Tomorrow we have a special edition. As one of the employees of Asala Metal, the wife will be on the show tomorrow as special guest. A lot of things been happening at that company, and they have been taking advantage of Liberians staff a lot. And whenever they try to go to seek redress, officials of government, elected and appointed, will say, "Oh, now Upper Bush, you don't play with that Asala Metal." So tomorrow, Mrs. Ann Bommy will be on the show. She will come and tell it and say it all, tell it all. I would love for you guys to join me. Let us in the host tomorrow, and she will say it all. A lot of injustices have been taking place at that Asala Metal, and because appointed and election official of our government are connected with that particular company, so they let things to go by. So I want us to really take the issue with them. Since we publish it, we're getting calls for people trying to say we should seek. I reached out to them too. I said, yeah, but if they're serious, you'll come on the show. I'm not going to come in. I will not stop the girl from coming, the woman from coming. She's coming. She will come. So, and we got Liberians. Our own Liberian brothers are the one that holding top position at that company, that consultant. They're the one who've been calling all day now, trying to stop the lady from coming. But I want to assure her that she'll be
that's her friends.
If they push her tomorrow, she might call her names. We know that our personal friends are involved. But they will call her names, they continue to harass.
That's her friends.
Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna get off work early. I'm gonna get off work early just to be here, guys. I gotta go support my son. He been volunteering for Kamala Harris. He been campaigning all around North Carolina. I gotta go support him.
Yeah, we the Democrat. We are the Democrat affiliate.
I'm independent, but
my son decides to affiliate with the Democrats. I'll follow and see what he's doing.
So where are you?
You said what happened?
How old is your son?
My son's 17.
Oh, so but he'll be voting?
No, he's not voting. He's only volunteering his time. He been going out there and just reaching out to people.
And most of the young people, and I wanted the strength of the Democrat in this coming election, they were exhibiting this convention. I think today or so, 17 or 18-year-old speaking, one is speaking. Most of those social media handlers.
The speaking my wife speaking that I represent from Florida, right? Michael Frost, right? That young kid. He also speak other non-state. He's speaking. I think he'll be speaking too.
Yeah.
See? in that process. So where are you here, Judah? Republican?
Where?
Because you got Republican tendency.
No, I'm out of here, man. Guys, good night.
You see, Lofa, I know. Let me show you now. Maybe
you get out of here, man. Trump.
But Lofa, The vice president is president in India for the Indian African Summit too. The vice president of Liberia, okay?
Oh, is he?
He's in India for
When
the
is he coming to the States?
Indian African
They're
Summit.
trying to connect our country, man.
Yeah, connecting the country. The vice president
Well,
is in
congratulations to him.
India for the
The
African
president in
Indian
Asia, the
Summit.
president in America. So you see?
Yeah, so the Minister of State, Ambassador Grisby, is in charge of the country until the president.
And by the way, speaking of Grisby, I don't know why people continue to attack him like John Molu and other people who feel like getting rid of this man will give them the opportunity to be heard by President Bush.
I don't nothing wrong for now.
Look, let me say this. I don't see
job.
anything wrong with Grisby and his action. If you have problem, you should have your problem with President Bush.
Grisby enjoys the cover of the president.
Right. I don't see anything. I see John Molu always attacking this man, talking about.
Sometimes Grisby is getting his job done. The man's
right. The man is getting his job done, and I support him. Let him do it.
Professor Grisby is a consummate administrator.
He's a
diplomat by accident. A very wonderful. I mean, he meet all of the basic lines. So let him come.
Let the man do his. Thank you.
Ambassador Grisby, you enjoy the president's confidence. Continue to enjoy the president's confidence.
Thank you. That's what I say. Go ahead, Mr. Grisby. Continue to enjoy the confidence of the president. You have my support in that regards.
He makes you acting chairman of the cabinet. Right now, you're acting chairman of the cabinet. So you're acting president.
Yeah. So basically, so like that, gentlemen, Bob.
So tomorrow we'll have Ms. and Bobby will be on our show, and we'll have her talk about what happened at Salamata. So guys, let us come and give that lady a hand.
All right.
But it's unfair.
All right. Take care.
Guys, you're going to go watch the Democrat convention on a good show.
In a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now